fired. There was a big pile of rocks on top of it. Fisher. Oh.
Let's see if Mini Pie knocks over the megalosaur, or if she's more careful than that. I think it's just by sheer luck she hasn't knocked it over yet. Well, there you go. Mini Pie's not the most careful of cats. She's really not. Just don't knock over the champagne flute, huh, Mini Pie? She's like, oh, you're giving me ideas.
Oh, the old baggy fern pen. The old baggy fern pen. My mother was born in 78 in the old pen. Like children we'd sing in the foggy fern pen. How I wish I was in foggy fern pen now.
Oh, don't we?
178 degrees. How I wish it was a foggy fern pen. With the temperature crawl up on my leg. You drinking enough water?
We've got Ethan on vocals here.
Need more fog. Fog bell.
Fog does sound really good right now.
Celtic hour.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go, sweetie. Don't take the... She's running away with the fur that I... Don't eat that, hey. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Oh, I think I missed the next verse. I can jump into it. Never gonna dig you up. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Don't tell me you're too blind to see. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna live around and on around and desert you.
I was gonna say that, but then I was like second guess myself, but I'm pretty sure that they are.
Oh, there's a big old lizard over there. Who is that? Just walking across the path, kind of slowly.
Is there evidence of dino shapes defined by the plants in the area, like finch beaks?
And let's see.
Not the only one.
Have I done any international digs? I've not yet, Theta 500. Not yet.
Problem is, they might not let them back in the country.
Well, we're not going to be doing a very long stream today. My crew is going to be getting into town in probably about half an hour. So I'll have to wrap things up then and go meet them to do the shopping and then go set up camp. But yeah, we're going to be out digging dinosaurs here. I'm very excited about that. And that's what would not have been possible without this community. So thank you, everybody, for contributing during the fundraiser. You know, our grants fell through and we didn't have any other funding, so we're going to be doing this because of you, so thank you for that. Yeah. So it goes, should all the lyrics be forgot, and I didn't look them up? Should all the lyrics be forgot, and Happy New Year? Should all the lyrics be forgot? I didn't look them up, but maybe I guess we'll see. Shoot. Oh, look at that.
Oh, the red one.
Wow. Tail?
It's waiting for one of us to die from heat stroke.
Gonna pick our bones clean.
Might be me.
I think this is appropriate, yeah. It's hanging 10 on Champsosaurus. Best feature of the game right here. They should make this a mini game. Oh, into the cypress tree. Ah! It's so important to study these things carefully. There's nowhere on this planet that you've got an unbroken record from, you know, the beginning of Earth history until the present. There's no place on Earth that's been a depositional environment for that entire time that I'm aware of. So you got to kind of go to different areas in order to get a complete picture, put all those puzzle pieces together in order to figure out the whole history of our planet. Fossil hunting looks chill, says my shout. I don't know if that's quite the right adjective to use.
So chill. I just like dig rocks all day and eat, dude. It's just like,
It's only like 106 degrees out right now.
yeah, dude. I mean, just come out here, dude, and just like put your feet up, just chill out, and just get bones all day, dude. It's just like not that bad, dude.
They look like.
Oftentimes the headline is, "New relative of T-Rex discovered." It's like, just let this dinosaur be its own thing. You don't always have to bring T-Rex into it, you know? But this is the thing, is that people are really familiar with this dinosaur, and that helps drive clicks and everything, and it's just a little frustrating that everything has to be all about T-Rex.
Do you know that feeling in your tail? Would you whip around and invite me?
First dinosaurs would have looked kind of like little Eoraptor, you know, like you see right there. And so basically dinosaurs start right here. Everything that evolves from the ancestor of all the dinosaurs is a dinosaur by definition. So all of these creatures here, you can trace them all back to that right there. So that's why crocodiles are not dinosaurs. That's why plesiosaurs are not dinosaurs. You know, that's why critters like, you know, like Dimetrodon, like Dimetrodon right here are not dinosaurs. Because dinosaurs start right there. You know, this is called like the crown group definition of a clade. It's everything that evolved from that ancestor is one of its descendants. So all of these guys are descendants from the ancestral dinosaur. From right here. But I can swing this around, I can open and close the jaws, I can stick it right up close to the camera, I can do all kinds of stuff with this.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the personality to be a governor.
No?
I do love to lie.
How do you feel about corruption? You into it? Like, there were dinosaurs that lived at the same time as our early mammalian ancestors, and the smartest of the dinosaurs were smarter than the smartest of the mammals, we think. And they were as intelligent as they needed to be in their environment because they were remarkably successful. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 150 million years, so they were plenty smart. Sometimes being too smart can actually be a disadvantage. I mean, shoot, look at us today, where we're in the process of absolutely wrecking our planet. And being smart can also, you know, can lead you to do things like polluting the environment or creating nuclear weapons. You know, maybe human intelligence will turn out to be a mistake. Who knows? Time will tell. Let's see. take that geology course, absolutely. Once you start to see things from a geological perspective, it's like that could be life-changing for a lot of people. It's great. So take that course. Yeah. And 1/4 of the ice stream. There you go, Jody Fish. Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually we'll work out exactly where the
Yeah. And 32 degrees Celsius. That's
Basic level, and they go, oh, that makes sense. Especially if you can tell it to them like a story. We as human beings are storytelling creatures, you know? We think about things in terms of narrative. And when you just give somebody a fact, they can just throw it away. It's not gonna stick in their brain. It's not a compelling story. If you can take your facts and you can string together a story from them, though, that is a way to get somebody to actually care about an idea. So yeah. I don't know, and I think respect is a really important thing too. Not sneering at people, not going, oh, you're stupid. That's the easiest way to lose somebody, you know? Yeah. So yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Don't just talk about bikes, teach them to ride one. There you go, Trek Nerd. I like that a lot.
Yeah, again, there's not too much to show in the actual quarry itself right now, given that we just got here yesterday and started digging. And we're just approaching the bone layer again right now. But this whole area where Fisher's working and where Justin is sitting right there, we're going to be removing a lot of this to get down to the bone layer, and then once we're down in the bone layer itself, the pace changes. And we start working with hand tools, going a lot more slowly. Because you don't want to be using a pick or a shovel where there might be bone. You want to use smaller, more precise tools as you're working more slowly so you don't actually destroy any of the bones.
Oh, and that is cool looking there.
It's like a big monster.
It's like a sauropod, just.
Right? A little bit of Jurassic Park music.
Here it comes, yeah.
Dinosaurs can be thought of as almost like a gateway drug into the sciences. They're often children's first introduction to the concept of science because dinosaurs are inherently very scientific creatures. We can't go outside and observe them today unless we're talking about avian dinosaurs, unless we're talking about birds. But if we're talking about non-bird dinosaurs, you can't understand dinosaurs without understanding science. The reason we know anything at all about dinosaurs that lived during the Mesozoic is because of science. It's because of concerted scientific work. Excavating those fossils, cleaning them, preparing them, studying them, publishing on them. These are all scientific processes. You can't go and see a Stegosaurus in the zoo. And if you want to understand Stegosaurus, if you're interested in that animal, that requires a certain kind of scientific mindset. Growth and development over an organism's individual lifespan? That's not evolution, that's...
ontogeny.
Ontogeny, yeah. Evolution happens between generations. The changes that happen during an animal's lifetime is...
ontogeny.
Yeah.
Skulls.
It's Acrocanthosaurus up there.
Beautiful. Here, will somebody make a clip for Lenina? Check it out. Acrocanthosaurus.
It is a life-size cast. It looks almost like it's cast in bronze. Or something's getting pulled up the weather here. But really... There we go. Can we get this in focus? There is... me, and my mom, and my dad at Lake Tahoe back around 19... And in the same photo frame, there is my dog. She was my big sister growing up. Her name was Sasha. She was a Cocker Spaniel. And yeah, she's got Very, very dark colored fur, so you really can't make out much there, but there she is right there, sitting next to my mom's Snoopy stuffed animal. But there's Sasha right there. My parents got Sasha before I was born, and growing up, she was my big sister. For those of you from the US who might not be super familiar with that term of measurement, this is a meter right here. This is 1 meter. So it's just over a yard. So when you think meter, think yard. It's just over 3 feet. So it's about 39.5 inches is 1 meter. So 100 centimeters, or just shy of 40 inches. You know, just over a yard. So 100 of these high would have been that tsunami. Just nuts.
Were 100 meters high. These giant waves would have crossed the sea with the speed of a jet, ripping up the seafloor, moving tons of...
Like worldview on a foundation of sand, you know? Like, if all of your faith is tied to this idea that the Earth is less than 10,000 years old, you're setting yourself up for failure, because we know for a fact that is not the case. So, yeah, it's a losing proposition. Like, don't sabotage yourself like that. Oh boy. Anyhow, yeah. And, Waffle House is the stuff on the wall.
Over a vast prehistoric world yet to be discovered.
Oh, who are they going to talk about here, everybody? Patron saint of vertebrate paleontology? Hero to us all? Who are we going to talk about now in this? If you know, type her name into chat. Not Jack Horner. No, yeah, and not Sir Richard Owen, Javasaurus. Good guess, though. We're talking about the right time period, at least, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, Daikaiju, Mary Anning.
No one dreamed sea monsters could be real.
Ground control to Major Tom. Drink your protein shake and put your trousers on. That's not how that... Teresa says, what does the bone layer mean in this situation? The layer in which the bones are. Yeah, so we've got to dig down to get to where the bones are. That's the bone layer. Let me show you. Let's go take a look. Do you think the scientists in the Pokemon games that can turn fossils back into living animals are ethical? Animation, I think I would have more problems with Pokemon than that. Pokemon basically like dogfighting. Not in like the cool airplane sense, in like the dog sense. Will she get bored of this first, or will we? Let's see. She does love watching birds too, but she seems to really like this video. I showed this to her the other day. Oh, good stuff. Anyway, let's get back to our Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my grant. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take it just because you can. And I could easily understand how you could easily take my grant, but you don't know what it means to me, Jolene. And you could have your choice of dough, but I could never get funds on so short notice, is my only hope, Jolene. Now I had to have this talk with you. My research goals depend on you and whatever you decide to do, Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Creatures striding across the open. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Paleontologizing. Happy Tuesday. I guess we could call it Turtle Tuesday if we wanted to. This will also be our last stream of the week until I'm back out in the field on Friday and Saturday. I'll probably stream again on Saturday. So this is going to be our last one for a little while, but I'm glad you're here. We've got a brand new genus and species of leatherback turtle to talk about today, just published a couple days ago. And I'll also be giving you kind of a sneak peek into what our fieldwork is going to be like later this week. And we'll be doing all kinds of Q&A, and who knows what else will happen. It's a live broadcast. But welcome, everybody. If it's anybody's very first time, allow me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduzzo. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. A paleontologist, as I hope you know already, is a scientist who studies fossils. Fossils are the preserved remains of ancient living things. That's everything from fossil bacteria to fossil baleen whales, from fossil ferns to fossil frogs, and everything in between. But I happen to work on dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are what I study, what I publish on in the scientific literature, and what I dig up during the summers, and I guess during the autumn now too. This will be my first fall fieldwork ever, I think. Except for a few brief jaunts here and there. This will be the first sustained fieldwork I've ever done in the autumn, and I'm excited to bring you along out to eastern Utah later this week. We're going to be streaming as often as we can, so as close to every day as is possible in the earliest Cretaceous, or early Cretaceous, Cedar Mountain Formation, kind of near Moab, Utah, with the USU Eastern Prehistoric Museum, Josh Lively and co. It's going to be great. But, yeah, I'm glad you're here, everybody. It's going to be a fun stream. I'm taking tomorrow off so that I can pack and run errands and get things ready for fieldwork, because I'll be leaving Thursday morning. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. Anywho, how's everybody doing right now? Hope all is well. We've got some pterosaur news. Well, Dr. Terra, very nice. Yeah. Want to go to warm Utah Trooper? It's gonna be hot where I am. It'll be hot during the day and cold at night. Kind of archetypical desert conditions. Let's take a look. Moab, Utah. What is that gonna be like? It's 87 right now in Moab, apparently. 10-day forecast. Okay. Mid to high 80s, and then in the 90s next week. Alright. Cool. And it's gonna get cold at night, so dropping down to... Actually, not that cold. 60s? I thought it was gonna be in the 30s. That's not too shabby. Yeah. Anyway. It's gonna be good. Yeah. And you're doing peachy? I'm glad to hear it, Lenina. Glad to hear it. Good stuff. Yeah. Sorry for being a little bit late today, too. That often happens on Tuesdays. I was in Berkeley today attending a seminar talk, and had an important meeting, too, so things are good. Things are good. I really can't complain. Exciting thing is coming up. Holy cow, have we got a lot to look forward to here. There we go. Today is Tuesday, September 16th. I should have put starting late today. I knew I would be, and I forgot to put that here. But no streams until, I think, the 20th. I'll be arriving to camp and helping set things up on the 19th, if all goes well. On the 20th, I'll try and do my first stream from Utah this month, and then I'll be continuing to do that through October 1st. There's even a chance we might get to be on the front page October 1st. And then I've got 2 weeks until TwitchCon starts, so things are going to be busy. And then after that in November, I've got SVP coming up, the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting, so I'll be taking about 2 weeks off from streaming that, I think. Yeah, it's gonna be good. How are you doing, Mini Pie? Did you hit your head? Did you hit your head on the microphone? Oh, I'm sorry, Mini Pie. This is one of my landlords here, everybody. But you're not familiar. This is, Ms. Mini Pie. How are you doing, Minnie? Yeah. I am going places, absolutely, Alexander Morrison. Looking forward to it. We've got a jam-packed autumn planned, and I'll be coming up with a whole roster, I think, of different places to visit, different special streams to do, while I have mobile data kind of around TwitchCon. So from probably mid-October or early October through November, we'll be going around to different museums and places like that and doing some live streams. It's gonna be good. Did you really bump your head there? My goodness. It feels like you got a lump. It is just your fur, though. What do you think? Oh. But yeah, Reptilian Space Pope. How are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. And Mayor Space. Mini Pie does like to headbutt things, but this seemed unintentional. It seemed like she really kind of bumped things hard there. Anyhow, let's brush you a little bit and let's get you some treats, huh? Gotta pay the landlord. I don't know where your brush went, so I guess it's straight to treats, huh? All right, let's make that happen, huh? Huh? Yeah, let's do it. There we go. There we are. Ooh, good stuff. And hello, Zote. Welcome back. It's good to have you here. You've come back just in time. We're going to be leaving for the field in just a couple days. I'll be out there 2 weeks in Utah, trying to stream every day. More live dinosaur things. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. There you go, Rushwing. Yeah. And I'm very excited for the upcoming fieldwork. Absolutely, Reptilian Space Pope. It's going to be good. I'll give you a kind of a sneak peek later on in today's stream about who I'll be working with out there. If any of you saw the new Walking with Dinosaurs, then you're already kind of familiar with the site that I'm going to be working at. It's called Laurie's site. It's, according to Jim Kirkland, the world's largest ankylosaur bone bed. I'll be out there with Josh Lively and crew, and we'll even be getting a visit from some UK paleontologists. Susie Maidmont and Richard Butler are going to be joining us, and with any luck, I can have them on stream too. It's going to be good. Yeah. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Casey. I think it's going to be real good. Yeah. Mini Pie, look, you got more treats. You going to eat those ones? There we go. Excellent. Crunch them up. Those dental treats. Work those teeth, huh? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, and yeah, Papa Jim will be out there too, hopefully. Dan the BC man. I know he's giving a talk in Moab on the 24th, so he'll be in the neighborhood. Hopefully he can drop by and say hello and be there for a stream or two. We'll see. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Before I forget, let's do a blue sky post real quick. Quick screenshot. There we are. That'll work. Crop that up right there. There we are. Excellent. Get Get that posted here. Alright. It's our last Twitch stream until I'm out in the field again this weekend. Today we're discussing a new fossil genus of leatherback turtle. And what was that critter's name again? Let me find this here real quick. It starts with a U. It's a kind of an unconventional sounding name. Eualoca culminorum. Plus the... I was gonna say the impact of dinosaur extinction, but the results of dinosaur extinction on Paleocene landscapes, and a sneak peek of upcoming fieldwork. Join us at twitch.tv/Paleontologizing. I'm 6 characters over, so let's turn that @ into an @ sign. Let's get rid of one of those spaces. Now we're only 4 characters over. We can get rid of that comma. Get rid of that comma. We're only 2 over. And let's get rid of the word today. Paleontologizing. Excellent. Let's do alt text real quick. Twitch screenshot. Me in my office. With a big 1/3 size 3D printed leatherback turtle on the wall behind me, along with framed figures from scientific papers and such like. There we go. Save, and let's post it.
Hold on to your butts.
Post. There we go. Excellent. Here is a link to that in the chat for you right there. Dino Dex says, what are your plans for when you're in the UK? I am booked solid for that. There's a special SVP, Society of Vertebrate Paleontology field trip before the conference, and there's one after too. I'm attending both of those, plus doing the conference. So it's gonna be... here's one of the field trips that I get to do. Very, very excited. Gonna go see where Mary Anning lived and worked in Lyme Regis. I'm gonna go to Charmouth and Durlston Bays, Spyway Quarry. Yeah, it's gonna be good. And then after SVP, whoop, there we go. UK Dinosaurs History and Science. Gonna be visiting some of the original quarries, places like that. Yeah, Jurassic and Cretaceous dinosaur localities in Oxfordshire and the Isle of Wight. Good stuff. I can't wait. It's gonna be pretty excellent. And yes, several museums in the UK, Trooper. These are with the field trips or with SVP. A reception, I think, is going to be at the museum in Birmingham. And Yeah, and then there's a bunch of different museums that we're going to be visiting on those field trips. So yeah. And yeah, Wombat Hole, apparently I cannot actually live stream from the UK because that would be a violation of my like travel agreement. I would essentially need like a special visa in order to be able to broadcast from the UK because that's considered work. So I would need a special work visa. And I would also need special permission from all the different sites. It's not going to work out. So I'm going to have to consider this a professional development trip. We're going to have no paleontologizing streams for 2 weeks. However, I'm going to see if I can try out that newish feature, what is it, Twitch Stories? I'll be trying to post those every once in a while, even if I can't do, like, live streams. So, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Really looking forward to this trip. I also recognized something kind of accidentally. The logo here for SVP 2025. Does anybody know what that's from? Thank you, Ko-Fi. Hey, Reaganation, rather. Thank you for the Ko-Fi donation there. Holy cow, Reaganation. Have some food in the UK? I can afford to now. Thank you, Reaganation. Holy cow. Do I appreciate that? Holy moly. I don't know if I'm going to say the amount, but that is very generous of you, Reaganation. Holy cow. Good stuff. Oh, holy moly. Thank you, Reaganation. Big paleo salute to you, too. Thank you very, very much for your generosity. That's incredible. Stupendous. I don't know what to say. Yeah, you're welcome. I really appreciate it, Reaganation. Thank you. Dino Dax. The bull is from the Bull Ring in Birmingham. Beham. And the one in the train station is called Ozzy. Interesting. I think this also is supposed to be like an aurochs, right? Maybe? This is a sphenodontian right here, I think. Kind of like a tuatara. We've got those from the UK. But this whole design right here, apparently, is, Niffler says, no, definitely a bull. Did they have horns that long? I think this is maybe supposed to be like a Pleistocene critter, like it is SVP after all. Yeah. Like this critter. Ancestor to modern cattle, aurochs. There's a bunch of fossils of these guys from the UK, as I understand it. So I'm guessing that's what that is. I'm sure that Birmingham also has like a bull motif going on. Yeah. So this is like, it reminds me of the one on Wall Street in New York City. But yeah, notice how the horns on this are a lot shorter. They're long on this one, I guess. Yeah. Why don't... Oh, come on. Google Images changed their thing recently. Goodness, I'm gonna opt out of all this stuff. I want to opt out. Do we select yes or no? I don't know what this means. Okay. What's the connection between Birmingham and the Bull? The Bull Ring Shopping Center. There was the Bull Ring, which sat at the same location in the 1960s before being demolished and rebuilt as the Bull Ring in 2003. Huh. Anyway, I do suspect that this is a reference to the aurochs. But also, this overall, this whole design, It's a music reference, which I discovered kind of on accident the other day. There we go. Big in this. See? The fonts, the colors. This is a reference to Black Sabbath right here. Which I believe Black Sabbath hails from Birmingham. Right? Yeah. Good stuff. Anywho, last year the SVP logo was a reference to Prince.
Cool. Let's check them out.
And Cosmo Quest, thank you for the raid. How are you doing? How was your stream? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here. And I am Omnivore. Thank you for that. What is this? I'm Omnivore. Thanks for your great work. World needs more like it. I appreciate that. I am Omnivore. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for that donation there. That's lovely. I really appreciate that. Good stuff. Thank you, Omnivore. Appreciate you. Splendid. Those Ko-Fi donations, those go to supporting what I do most directly, because Ko-Fi does not take a cut from that. So those donations, 100% of that goes toward these outreach and science communication endeavors. Thank you, Omnivore, and thank you again, Reaganation.
Daddy, I dig your vibration.
Good stuff. Last year's SVP logo, SVP 2024 logo. There we go. This is a Prince reference, and I wish that would... Wish we could embiggen that properly. There we go. Yeah. So I think... This is a Champsosaur skull right here, which is a kind of Caristodire reptile from the late Cretaceous. They've got some really good specimens of these at the museum in St. Paul, Minnesota. But anywho, I think... Is it Purple Rain? Which one is it? I guess it is a reference to Purple Rain. Anyhow. Yeah, this is last year's. But those are fun. Yeah. And paleontologists are music fans, it would seem. I think that's particularly true of the leadership of SVP. This has been the case for the past, this current year, 2025, and 2024 as well. Other logos, going back a little ways, have been a little bit more literal. So... I'll tell you another way. Holy cow. Link for real, thank you for the 16 months of support.
Keep up the great work.
Appreciate that.
Much love, less than 3.
Thank you, Link for real. That means a lot to me. Thanks for keeping me online for the past 16 months. Good stuff. Yeah. So here is the logo for SVP in 2013. This is my first SVP that I attended. It was in Los Angeles. So Smilodon is the state fossil of California. The tar pits at La Brea are nearby. So this made a lot of sense for the logo that year. Anywho, and Reaganation, thank you for gifting Reptilian Space Pope. I appreciate that. Good stuff. Yeah. And Lordy says, I wonder what Cleveland rock and roll album they'll do next year. They have the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to choose from. They do, I guess. Yeah. It's a good point, Lordy. It's a good point. We'll see. Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, why don't we, let's do a quick game of Metazua. Then we'll jump into our new leatherback turtle, new fossil that was just published, new genus and species. And, then we'll talk a little bit about Lori's site and what we can expect over the next 2 weeks in terms of streaming it. First off, Metazua. Let's do this. We didn't do this yesterday because we had our interview with Filippo. Let's get into it. Petrodactylus says, I love the Welcome to Utah poster above your head. That's awesome. Those are some of the... When you drive into Utah, depending upon which spot you're entering into the state, that is a big roadside sign. Here we go. Welcome to Utah. And I haven't checked on this yet, but that particular Allosaurus design right there looks a lot like Joe Turricone's work. I'm not 100% clear on how to pronounce that name. But, yeah, they kinda stole that. So, oh, and Niffler, thank you. Let me check that out in a second. But yeah, so here it is on the Welcome to Utah sign. So the state, I guess, hired some graphic designer or somebody to put this together. And this is the Joe Turricone Allosaurus. They do look pretty similar to the point where it almost seems like plagiarism, you know? Altogether too common in dinosaur art. You have professional paleo artists who end up getting their work more or less stolen by people who are not professional paleo artists. So yeah. There you go, Claire, yeah. Tucciarone, there we go. Yeah. I don't know if he's still producing work nowadays, but yeah. Again, the original and the Utah one. It's maybe a little too close. Anyhow. Might be been referenced too much in the one RP. That's my impression, Petrodactylus, yeah. And I'm sure the OG artist would appreciate a heads up about it. He probably knows. Yeah. Again, these are roadside signs, like everybody's seen these. You go into Utah from if you're going over from Colorado, that's like the dinosaur side of the state, is eastern Utah. And so these are the signs that you encounter when you drive over the border into Utah. Oh yeah. It is cool that Utah is celebrating their dinosaur heritage like this. Yeah. Anyhow. Let's check Ko-Fi real quick. Thank you, Niffler. Utah Fuel Fund. I appreciate that, Niffler. Thank you for taking us on another field dig. It's a privilege to be able to experience digs vicariously through you, making paleontology fully accessible for people like myself with physical disabilities and geographic restrictions. That's what it's all about, Niffler. Thank you so much for helping support that with your donation. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to take you along for the ride and try and show you firsthand what paleontology is really like. Thanks for helping make that possible for everybody. I appreciate it. Good stuff. Before I forget, let's get into Metazua here. Diagonal says it took me 6 guesses. Well, Sounds tricky. Let's get into it. For those of you who don't know what this game is, you'll see how it works. It's a lot like Wordle, which I've never played. I've been told that it's similar. There's a mystery animal of the day, and you have to try and guess what it is. You narrow it down bit by bit using an evolutionary family tree. So, we've got our mystery animal here. And I usually like to start guessing with a placental mammal. So some sort of a mammal that's not a marsupial or a monotreme. This game is kind of heavily tilted toward mammals. So, yeah, give me a placental mammal here, chat. Procyon raccoons are put in Mustelidae. That's odd, F. Edgar. That's weird. Huh. Murph says armadillo. That'll work, but it's not a super derived one. So armadillos are part of Xenarthra, which is like a really weird clade that might not be ideal to start with. Same with pangolins. They're like kind of basal to carnivora. But yeah. Dingo is a good one, Darius. Let's do dingo. Although it's not on here. Let's do dog. Dingoes are a kind of wild dog. Let's start off with dog. And, okay. Interesting. We've got amniote. It's not a dog, it's not a mammal, but it is an amniote. Let me show you what this means. We can use our Tree of Life tool from OneZoom to give us kind of a nice framework for guessing more effectively. So, I guessed dog at first. So let's go to bush dog. Oh, and it's not going to be a frog, Claire, because frogs are not amniotes. I'll show you what it means. So here's bush dog, African wild dog, maned wolf, etc., etc. All right, the dog-like carnivorans. So our critter is not one of these. Remember it said we guessed dog, and it says nope. Best I can do is amniote. Okay, well let's go out to amniota. We're gonna go out through the, I think, scrotiferans, out through the Laurasiatheres, Boroeutherians, placental mammals, Therian mammals, amniotes. So here we go. So we guessed dog, which is a kind of mammal, and it said nope, but it is an amniote, which tells us that our critter has to be some kind of sauropsid. Sauropsids are the reptiles, including birds. So this includes the archelosaurs, birds, turtles, and crocs. And the other group is the lepidosaurs right here, which are lizards and tuatara. So, we have to figure out, is our critter an archelosaur or a lepidosaur? It's probably kind of a, I was going to say it's a 50-50 shot, but it's not. Even though by the numbers, there's 10,000 species of archelosaur and 10,000 species of lepidosaur, Metazoa is not, it's kind of biased toward mammals and birds. So I think there's a higher likelihood our critter is an archelosaur. So what we're gonna do here, give me the name of a bird, chat, and we'll guess that. Because I'm guessing just by the numbers, likelihood is it's probably a kind of bird. Yeah. Red-winged blackbird. I don't know if they're gonna have Kia, Claire. We could try it. They don't have Kia. They don't have red-winged blackbird either. Let's see. Robin is a good one. Thank you, F. Edgar. Let's try that. Ooh, so we're correct. Not only is it a bird, it's also a neonath. So, birds and crocs, birds, neonaths. So we tried robin, and it's like, it's not a robin, but best I can do is neonath. This is tricky because Metazoa doesn't have a ton of different bird clades programmed into it, like all these different families. Doesn't necessarily have them all. It's limited in that. And so we can try and be really clever with our guesses, but it still might not get us very far, just because the game itself is kind of limited. But neonates are the majority of bird species. How many bird species?
Over 9,000!
Yeah, it's a lot. This is the majority of birds. Birds in general, 10,002 species, according to this tree. And 9,941 are neonates. The paleonath birds, which are the quote-unquote primitive birds, more basal. Things like ostriches, rheas, cassowaries, tinamous, moas. There's only 61 species of them on this tree. So anyway, given that it says neonath and not passerine bird, passerines are another really speciose clade of birds. The Passeriformes. This is over 5,000 species here. A robin is one of these. So if we zoom out and go to, say, American robin, that is a kind of passerine bird. See how it comes off of that branch? There you go. If our bird were anywhere close to a robin, it would have given us one of these other clades that are within Neonathae, but it doesn't. It just gave us neonates. So what I'm guessing here is that our mystery animal is going to be a member of this group, Galloanserae. Galloanserae, whatever you want to say it. These are waterfowl, ducks, geese, they're relatives, chickens, they're relatives too. So let's look at our major divisions here. We've got waterfowl, screamers, and magpie goose. 160 species there. And then we've got game birds, 288 species. So 160, 288. I'm guessing just by the numbers it's probably some kind of game bird. Let's try something like chicken and see if that gets us any closer. And okay, it is a kind of fowl. We're correct, it is part of Galloanserae, but it's not a chicken. So, and it doesn't say Galliformes either, which tells me it might be a duck or a goose or something like that. Let's try goose. Not mongoose, but goose. Okay, we're getting closer. It is a member of the goose family, Anseraceae. This is actually like a subfamily, Anseraceae. Can we search Anseraceae on here? Let's go to snow goose, and then go out from there. Anseraceae is probably a broader group. I wonder if it's going to be a swan, because a swan is another member of this group. I bet you it's a swan. Let's try it.
Hold on to your butts.
And there we go. Oh, excellent. Very good. Very good. We got it in, it looks like 5 guesses. Not too shabby. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. We could have done better if we'd guessed swan instead of goose, stuff like that, but I think all things considered, we did pretty well right there. Yeah. Not too shabby. Yeah. And Claireburst is not a trumpeter swan, but the trumpeter swan from the book by the person who gave us Charlotte's Web. No one thinks swan before goose? I don't know. Yeah. There's a book that, that my teacher read to my class in 3rd or 4th grade. I think it was called The Trumpet of the Swan. Yeah, which was kind of a goofy book about a swan that literally plays the trumpet. It was pretty goofy. But Claire knows this, yeah. Anyway, let's look up mute swan on YouTube and learn a little bit about these critters before we continue on with fossil news and stuff. There we go. All right, we've got an Animal Fact Files video. Well, these are always good.
The name mute swan is a bit of a misnomer because these swans aren't actually mute. While they generally may be quieter than other swan species, which is the trait that led to their namesake, mute swans make plenty of calls, especially when they're defending their nests. Mute swans are some of the largest swan species and are often cited as the largest flying birds in an area. On average, mute swans measure 4.5 feet in length, 22 pounds in weight, and have more than 7-foot wingspans.
That is pretty impressive. I'm guessing half of you in chat don't even have a 7-foot wingspan, you know? That is impressive for a bird like this.
Can really pack a punch. Mute swans are known to attack anything that gets too close to their nests, even people. They're so protective of their young, mute swans have literally knocked kayakers out of their boats in an attempt to keep the humans away. These swans are in fact quite dangerous to children who venture too close, and they are able to kill smaller predators with heavy wing beats.
I thought she was going to say, they have been known to kill smaller people. What? No.
They're too close, and they are able to kill smaller predators with heavy wing beats.
And that's... I think people forget how powerful birds are. The muscles that they have there in their wings are the largest muscles in their bodies, as far as I know. This is... They're pretty powerful. They can pack quite a wallop with their wing beats like that. It's impressive. Sea turtles are the same way. These big flippers on Dermachelys coriacea, the modern leatherback turtle, they can have a wingspan of over 9 feet with those flippers like that. The largest, most robust bone in a leatherback turtle's body is either the humerus, the upper arm bone, or the scapula. But either way, it's, you know, related to those forelimbs. They're really powerful, and so they'll actually fend off sharks and stuff like that. In a pinch, they can really get you with those flippers. Same with swans with their wings. It's pretty cool.
Hey, we said it in our swan episode, and we'll say it again here. Swans are not as romantic as they seem. Typically, male mute swans...
And hang on a second. Hivarius. Let's turn our alert box back on. Thank you, Hivarius, for the 6 months of support. I don't know why our alerts aren't properly firing right now, but I really appreciate you, Hivarius. Thank you for keeping me online for the past 6 months. I appreciate that. Thank you, kindly. Dr. Terrace says, I heard swan flaps have broken the bones of some unwary people. Oof. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
Swans do the protecting. There's a myth that these swans mate for life. While it's not entirely inaccurate to call mute swans monogamous, it's more likely that they mate for a season or 2 before finding a new mate. They may also switch mates in
So they're serially monogamous.
Partner doesn't or can't perform. No matter their sexual preferences, however, mute swans often build their nests in previous nest sites. The nests are made up of aquatic...
That's what we call nest site fidelity. So we have evidence that dinosaurs like Maiasaura would have done the same thing. It's returning to the same nest site year after year. You've made this nest in the ground, you raise your young in it, you leave, and then you come back to that same exact spot, and you just kind of fix up that same nest again the next year.
vegetation and are lined with feathers. Both parents work to make it fit for their eggs. A female mute swan lays approximately 6 eggs and incubates them for just over a month. The chicks only stay a day in the nest, heading to the water within their first 48 hours of life.
So we call this being precocial young. So pretty soon after they're born, they can get up and go. Contrast that with altricial. Precocial versus altricial. Here we go. Altricial birds are ones that they're often born without feathers. They're often born with their eyes closed, so they're effectively blind when they're first born. They need a ton of parental care. Precocial birds, it's the same root word as in like precocious. They can walk around minutes after being born, potentially. They already have some feathers on them. They can get up and run within an hour or so. Yeah. So precocial versus altricial. Yeah. Does that make sense? So swans are they precocial or altricial? What do you think, chat? Precocial or altricial for baby swans? Come on, you've got this. We just had it a second ago in the video. That is correct. They are precocial. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Day in the nest, heading to the water within their first 48 hours of life. This is pretty typical of waterfowl species. Most birds want to get their babies out of the nest as soon as possible, because baby birds confined to a bird nest make an easy meal
You got it,
for an
Petrodactylus, yeah.
opportunistic predator.
Yeah.
And bird nests are often breeding grounds for bacteria. Mute swan cygnets are able to fly about 2 months after hatching,
cygnets are the
but
babies.
they won't begin breeding until they're 3 years old. Mute swans are natively found in Europe, Asia, and Africa. They spend their breeding months in the northern parts of their range and migrate south for the winter. They've also been introduced to places such as Japan and North America. In North America specifically, they have increased in number to the point that they are harming native animal and plant species.
So they're invasive in North America.
Swans
Yowza.
eat up to 8 pounds of food in a single day.
Shoot.
Enough that they eat faster than the plants have time to regrow in order to provide food for other species. This is specifically bad for similarly sized native animals such as Canada geese and trumpeter swans because of competition for food. Smaller waterfowl can't reach as
It's so funny when they do this.
deep as these large bird
Headstands
species.
like this.
But species of a similar size collect food from the same areas as mute swans. If that food is depleted, then someone may go hungry. Of course, for mute swans in their native ranges, this isn't as much an issue. Mute swans eat plants as well as fish, arthropods, and the occasional amphibian. They live in aquatic habitats that include fresh, brackish, and salt water. Mute swans may be found in human-made parks, bays, swamps, estuaries, lakes, rivers, ponds, and more. Mute swans are generally white in color and can be identified from other similar-looking species by the bulge on their beaks. Adults are usually large enough to defend themselves and their babies from predators.
So that's how to tell them from like a trumpeter swan, I guess. There. Trumpeter swan versus mute swan. There. There we go. So native trumpeter swan versus invasive mute swan. This is here in North America. So mute swans have got that orange bill, and they've got that big lump, almost called a crest. Tuberosity, maybe, on their snoot like that. Cool.
However, young, weak, and old mute swans may be taken by minks, raccoons, and other predators. In the wild, mute swans may live to be 2 decades old. For more facts on mute swans, check out the links in the description. Thank you
Very
to
cool.
Alicia Lopez for today's request. Give a thumbs up.
Good
if you learned
stuff.
something
Here
new
is
today,
a
and
link
Thank you for watching Animal Fact Files.
to that Animal Fact Files video. They always do good work. Good stuff. Yeah. Excellent. Very cool. And swans eat fish? Yeah, geese will eat fish if given the chance, but I think swans do more often, Trooper. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty opportunistic. Swans, here. Back to the video.
Mute swans eat plants as well as fish, arthropods, and the occasional amphibian. They
See? There you go. Yeah. Most birds like that, most waterfowl will kind of eat whatever they can get hold of, if it fits down their gullet. Yeah, they're, you know, everybody's in need of protein. They'll take what they can get. So anywho, pretty nice, yeah, mute swan. And we got that in only 5 guesses. That's not too shabby. I'm actually kind of tempted. What is my average nowadays? Here, if I go to post this to Blue Sky, it should show us. 5.6, that's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, let's post it. Not too shabby today. Great. Yeah. Good stuff. Anywho, with that done, let's go ahead and get into our fossil news for the day, shall we? So without further ado, fossil news starts now. Right, fossil news. Our top story today. A new leatherback marine turtle from the lower Oligocene of North America and a phylogenetic nomenclature for Dermochelyidae. I was so excited when I saw this headline. I don't remember how I came across it, actually. I think I was just searching for more leatherback turtle images, and then this popped up. It was like at the top of the search results because it was so recent. September 12th, 2025. Just a handful of days ago. And we've been talking a ton about leatherback turtles on these streams lately because I'm starting to get involved with leatherback turtle conservation. These are truly extraordinary animals. And here, just as like a little refresher, I guess, or a little primer, in case you're new to this. There we go. For a long time, I've known that leatherback turtles are extraordinary animals. They're unique among modern turtles for a whole slew of different reasons. They're extraordinary creatures. They really, really are. They're kind of these fantastic refugees from the Cretaceous period. They are the last of the great marine reptiles. From a time when the biggest creatures in the oceans were sauropsids, were reptiles. You had plesiosaurs and mosasaurs and ichthyosaurs swimming around. Leatherback turtles had their origins in that time too. It's these gigantic marine turtles. These guys can be, like I said, 9 feet, almost 3 meters, from flipper tip to flipper tip. They weigh more than your average Harley-Davidson motorcycle. They're one of the largest living reptiles today, and they are the world's largest living turtle. They're just extraordinary creatures. This recent fascination with leatherback turtles of mine started this past May when I was in Puerto Rico. I got to see leatherback turtle nests right there on the beach, and suddenly this animal became not some far-off arcane thing that, I would never see in my life. Instead, it felt so incredibly close to home. Right there is a nest full of eggs of a leatherback turtle. Just extraordinary. And I realized I can get involved with these animals. We've built this community here on Twitch. We've got this platform. I have a voice now. We can do something to help protect these animals and ensure that they don't go extinct within the next century. I can have a part in that, and we could do that together. So these incredible holdovers from the Mesozoic, from the age of dinosaurs, we can help ensure that they do not go extinct, because their numbers have plummeted over the past few decades. They've dropped by something like 90%. And we could very well lose these creatures in the next few decades if something doesn't happen soon to help prevent them from being killed off by the fishing industry, from bycatch, and also by stealing of their eggs, climate change, plastic pollution. There's a whole host of different threats, but fishing bycatch is the biggest thing. They really are extraordinary creatures. Here. Check this out. Here's a nesting female, pretty big one, on the beach. It almost looks fake, right? But it's not. It's 100% real. Look at that. Look at that. These animals are here. They share the planet with us today, and they desperately need our help. Just extraordinary. Yeah, and if everyone does a little, it adds up to a lot. It does, Casey, yeah. Yeah, they're extraordinary creatures. And they're so different from all other sea turtles today. So these guys separated from the rest of sea turtles about 80 million years ago. We're still figuring out some of the details. But they have been separate from other sea turtles for about 80 million years, as far as we can tell. That's about the same time that we as human beings diverged from the lineage that goes to elephants. So, here. That is to say that, if we look at the tree of life here, let's jump to humans on our tree of life. And Geeks Tour says, I didn't realize they spent so much time in the water. Learn that right here. Always amazing content. Great, Geeks Tour. Yeah. The male leatherback turtles only ever go onto land once. They hatch out of their eggs, and they scuttle down the beach into the water, and that is the last time that they will ever be on land. The females will return to land on the order of every 2 years to maybe every sometimes 10 years for some of them. And these turtles, we're not totally sure how long they can live. It's probably on the order of maybe 50 years, something like that. So, a particularly fecund female might nest maybe 30 times, and well, actually no, it would be 30 seasons rather than 30 times. During a given nesting season, she might go and lay eggs 5 times in a season. But anyhow, apart from that, they are always in the ocean full time. They don't come up onto land to bask like like other sea turtle species do. These guys are truly pelagic. Like, they are living out at sea, and they're cruising across entire ocean basins. We'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, first I want to show this. Here's us as human beings, next to our closest living relatives, the chimps and bonobos. And after that, gorillas and orangutans. So we keep going further down the tree past the rest of the great apes, and the primates, and the Euarchontans, the Euarchontoglyres, Boreoeutherians. There we go. Yeah. This is about the last time that we as human beings shared a common ancestor with all of these mammals. So, say 80, 85 million years, give or take, something like that. We as human beings, part of our, the primate lineage, we have been distinct from critters like hedgehogs for as long as leatherback turtles have been distinct from other sea turtles. So there's as much time separating humans from hedgehogs as there is separating leatherbacks from, say, green sea turtles. It's wild to think about, right? We think of humans and hedgehogs as being very, very different creatures, but leatherback turtles and other sea turtles are equally as different in terms of time. Divergence time. Does that make sense? Crazy. And Darius Majewski says, so Crush's 150 dude and still young is inaccurate? I'm not sure, Darius. Like I said, green sea turtles are very, very different from leatherbacks. Leatherbacks are unique among sea turtles. I don't know how long green sea turtles live. The green sea turtle is Colonia midas, I think? Yeah. Yep. Got it. The green sea turtle. What is their longevity like? Life cycle. They might live longer than leatherbacks. I'm not sure. Yeah. It is speculated that they will take 20 to 50 years to reach sexual maturity. Individuals live up to 80 years in the wild. There you go. So, probably longer than leatherbacks? For the green sea turtle? That's this guy? When you think of a sea turtle, this is probably who you're thinking of. So like, like Crush from Finding Nemo is a green sea turtle. These guys have got a hard shell over their back. All other sea turtles do too, except for the leatherback, which, as its name would imply, this is soft, leathery. There's no hard shell under this. Really cool. Yeah. And he is a green, isn't he? He is, yeah. The green sea turtle, well, it's actually kind of brown. The reason why it's called the green sea turtle is because of the fat in their body is a green color. Yeah, the common name refers to the usually green fat around its found beneath its carapace, due to its diet being seagrass, and not the color of its carapace, which is olive to black. There you go. So yeah, confusing. The green sea turtle isn't actually green. Go figure. There's so many different animal names like that where it's like, yeah, the name kind of isn't. It's deceptive. Black bears aren't always black. They can go from jet black to cinnamon brown to like platinum blonde. The white rhino isn't actually white. It's actually like a bastardization of wide rhino because they have a wide mouth. Unlike the black rhino, which has got, like its mouth comes to a point. Anyway, yeah. But yeah. Anyhow. Let's watch a quick video on leatherbacks. Let's see here. Here, check this out.
Environment, it's very
This is Scott Benson right here. He's one of the world authorities on leatherback turtles, and I met with him last Thursday down near Monterey, California. There we go. There's me and Scott right there. I was asking him for some advice on how to get involved with leatherback turtle conservation and research and all that good stuff. So it was a really fruitful meeting. There's some exciting things coming up. I'll be interviewing Scott at some point, along with some other researchers and conservation people involved with leatherbacks. And yeah, we've got exciting things on the horizon. Anyhow, let's go back to the beginning of this video here. From the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, rather. Check this out.
A few things that are unique about leatherback turtles. They are huge animals. They engage in these incredible migrations across the Pacific Ocean. These animals are able to maintain a...
So yeah, they seriously, they migrate across the entire Pacific. It's crazy how far they travel. And they don't do this every year. It'll be on, because it's such a grueling journey. They're not flying. Like, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to swim across the Pacific Ocean and come up for air every few minutes, too. It really is extraordinary.
Shoe store, and they're like, maybe we have it in the back, and it was like all the fossils back there. It was pretty sick.
Thank you, Tactical Sponge, for the 57 months.
Paleo dance.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, Tactical Sponge. But yeah. Mecha Frogzilla says, how much time needs to pass for it to be considered archaeology and no longer grave robbing? I don't know. I'm not an archaeologist, Mecha Frogzilla. I'm a paleontologist, so I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. The creatures that I'm digging up have been extinct for tens of millions of years. And I'll be doing that again this next week. I'll be out there in Utah, streaming from the field starting on Saturday. Be out there for 2 weeks digging up dinosaurs. And it's careful scientific excavation. No grave robbing. But, yeah, I don't know. I think the difference between archaeology and grave robbing probably has something to do with, like, permits. I don't know. The person to ask would probably be Melissa in Denial, who streams here on Twitch, and she is an archaeologist. You should go give her a follow and ask her when she's live. She might even be live today. But yeah, and that sounds like a fun time, honestly. It's gonna be great. I hope you tune in. Starting on Saturday. There we go. On the 20th. Well, I arrive on the 19th, but probably won't get to stream then. We'll be setting up camp. But yeah, starting on the 20th, I'll be streaming as close as I can to every day. In fact, actually, why does that say no stream on the 27th? That's not right. Should be streaming then too. Mecha Frogzilla, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. There we go. Yeah. So all the way until October 1st, and we're hoping, with any luck, we'll be on the front page for my last day in the field before I head back to the office here. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And Son of Australis says September fieldwork? Yeah. Yep. Later on in the stream, I'll give you a sneak peek as to where we'll be and what we'll be doing. I'll show you some clips from the latest, the Walking with Dinosaurs documentary, which is the reason why I wasn't able to stream from this particular site last year and the year before. We would have been doing September fieldwork in 2024 and in 2023, but unfortunately, the British Broadcasting Corporation made that museum sign a contract saying there would be no other media on the site until the new Walking with Dinosaurs premieres. So I wasn't able to be there and wasn't able to live stream. I wasn't thrilled about that. But now that it's finally aired, we're good to go. So we'll finally be able to go there and stream, and yeah, I'll be able to help out with that excavation, help train new volunteers, all that good stuff. It's gonna be excellent. So anyway, we'll be watching some clips from the new Walking with Dinosaurs toward the end of today's stream. Yeah. And Son of Austerlitz says at least you don't have to worry about sunburn anymore? What do you mean? It's going to be like 90 degrees still and sunny every day. We were just looking at the weather. I will definitely need to be wearing sunscreen every day. We'll be working under shade tarps, all that stuff. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. Is it that bad? It's the Utah desert. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be UV index of like 9 every day, I bet. Yeah. And Son of Austerlitz says I'd probably dig in the winter then. You can't, there's snow on the ground. It's Utah. Yeah, also it'll be like, you know, it'll be below freezing. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. Anywho. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first, let's get back to our leatherback turtles here, shall we? Let's continue.
Body temperature greater than their environment, which is very...
So yeah, what's nuts is that these guys have this incredible migration. So they'll nest on the beaches of Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands, and then about every 3 to 5 years, the females and the males too will make this cross-Pacific journey. So they'll swim all the way across the Pacific Ocean, the world's largest ocean, to off the Pacific coast of the United States. And they'll feed on jellyfish over here, sea jellies, salps, tunicates, things like that. These gelatinous zooplankton, big squishy invertebrates. They're just gobbling these things down left and right and bulking up so that they can make the journey all the way back. And then all of those calories, all of those nutrients that they've collected, they'll convert that to energy for swimming, and they'll also convert that to eggs. And then they'll deposit their eggs here. And then... yeah, they'll make that journey about every 3 to 5 years, something like that. It's pretty impressive.
Animals are able to maintain a body temperature greater than their environment, which is very unique for a reptile.
Yep.
And they do this all...
So again, they do this. This is a reptile that does this. They are surviving and thriving in waters that would be cold enough to kill you and me. We would die of hypothermia. And here's a turtle that's able not just to survive, but to thrive in cold water like that. These guys have been found as far south as like the southern island of New Zealand, and as far north as the Aleutian Islands off of Alaska, up here, and like the waters off of northern Norway. They're up in the North Sea in the Atlantic. A turtle in the North Sea. It's incredible. They're such amazing creatures.
On a diet of jellyfish.
Yep.
Truly a magnificent animal, and I think one of the reasons why it doesn't receive more attention is because it's not an animal it's easily seen. Essentially,
nope. They're pretty cryptic, and I want to do a special stream about this and the lead up to Halloween this year. Tell me if you think this would be a cool idea, chat. But I want to do a like Loch Ness Monster / Sea Monsters stream, just kind of gently debunking that idea, being like, okay, the Loch Ness Monster probably isn't real. But we have a real-life sea monster. I'm going to say monster in the sense that this is an incredibly cool, mysterious, exotic animal, and yet it's 100% real. I don't know. I'm excited for this stream. I think it'd be cool. Yeah, it's... it'll be neat. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call Bigfoot a sea monster, Petrodactylus. Unless that's what the Bigfoot people are saying, though. Maybe. Like, well, shoot, he hasn't turned up in a while. No strong evidence. He must have moved into the ocean. Yeah, that's the ticket. That's why he's not around, you know. Explains why we haven't found him on land. Exactly, Murph. Yeah. Anywho, I think that'll be fun. Yeah.
Why it doesn't receive more attention is because it's not an animal it's easily seen. Essentially, hatchlings leave the beach and they're about that big, and when the people see them again at the nesting beach, they are animals that weigh 1,300
More than a
pounds,
Harley
6
Davidson,
feet long.
you know?
We're here off the central coast of California between Half Moon Bay and San Francisco to learn more about movements of these animals. They're a very cryptic species. They lie.
So they're a real life cryptid. They're hard to spot. They tend to be fairly rare. It's a big deal when you see one, let alone capture and tag one. Yeah.
Very close to the water. Not very much is exposed. We're most able to be effective with the help of an aerial team, and they essentially spot the animals for us and direct us to them. When we get on a turtle, it's a pretty exciting couple minutes. After the net is put on it, we have it alongside the boat where we secure it with some.
There's so much we don't know about them, Charlie's Dragon.
And
yeah.
this boat is a very.
This is really cool. Anyway, I want to pause here for just a second and say we were talking about lifespan of these turtles, which is really, really difficult to determine. Since leatherback turtles grow so quickly, they have highly vascularized bones, and so it's very difficult to do histo on them. It's very difficult to figure out how old they are by just looking at the growth rings in the bones, because they don't really have growth rings anymore. They grow so quickly, and they have so many like blood vessels that run through the bones that the growth rings are just not really visible. So in order to actually age them, what you have to do is look at the sclerotic ossicles, the little bones behind the eyeball. They can give you a better idea of how old the animals were at time of death. But apart from that, it's really tricky. And I think as a result, we don't have the best idea of how long they can live. So that's another thing that's mysterious about them, for sure.
A couple minutes after the net is put on it, we have it alongside the boat where we.
So this boat right here is a really special vessel called the Sheila B. So this is down in Monterey Bay, California, and I was talking with Scott about this. I might have an opportunity, perhaps, possibly, at some point, to help out with this kind of work. They do this every fall. They go out there and they survey for these animals. They tag as many of them as they can. They take measurements on them. They're just gathering as much scientific data as they can within a couple minutes before they re-release these animals unharmed. But yeah, if somebody gets sick or can't make it, I might be able to join the team at some point. Probably next year. They're doing this field work right now, and it'll be while I'm in the field in Utah, but maybe next year, you know? We'll see. There's also a very, very small, but still non-zero chance maybe it would be possible for me to stream that, you know? I'm just wish casting at this point. Not a high likelihood, but, you know, if saying it makes it slightly more likely, then I said it. Yeah. And Trooper says, what do the baby leatherbacks eat that they grow so fast? They eat the same thing the adults do. Jellies, jellyfish, salps, tunicates, marine gelatinous invertebrates. It's pretty cool.
Secure it with some additional ropes. And this boat is a very unique vessel, like a small landing craft. We have a lot of nice PVC plating, rubber siding on here to keep the animal protected from hurting itself.
That's good. That's good.
And yeah, that's true, Kennedy. They don't have much nutrition. So jellies are not particularly calorie dense. Not at all. So it's astonishing. This is what these animals specialize in eating. You know, jellies are something like 95% water. So it's like eating iceberg lettuce. That's your entire diet. And you grow to be one of the largest reptiles on Earth today. Living reptiles. Just eating something that's so nutritionally poor. Unlike something that I received from Kennedy here. I made a little jaunt over to the P.O. box a few days ago. And, well. Thank you again, Kennedy. Ask not for whom the Taco Bell tolls for me. Thank you, Kennedy. I really appreciate your generosity, your support there. Thank you. Tacos for Utah, yeah. This is gonna feed me on my way to Utah and on my way back, you know? And Taco Bell tends to be more calorie dense than sea jellies. So I don't even have to eat that much. Thank you. Kennedy, I really appreciate it. Holy cow. Good stuff. It's also really easy to find a decent vegetarian meal at Taco Bell, unlike a lot of other fast food places, you know? Try to do that at McDonald's. Good luck. I appreciate you, Kennedy. Thank you very much for your generosity. That's excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we'll find out if there's Taco Bell in the UK. Thank you, Kennedy. And Yogurt Garrel. Uh-oh.
See you next month, Professor Mendoza. Paleo Dance Yogurt 40.
Thank you, Yogurt Garrel. Next month, do you mean at TwitchCon? Yogurt? Is that what you mean? Because if so, I can't wait to see you there. Yes. Excellent. Yogurt, would you be potentially interested in being my camerawoman again? If we do another Velia live stream? You did such a great job last time. If you can find the time for this, I would be honored. No pressure. I know there's people you want to see, there's things we want to do, all that stuff. But, yeah. And is it Yogurt Garrel's birthday? I'd be honored? Fantastic, Yogurt. Alright, we'll make it happen. Is it actually Yogurt Garrel's birthday, or... I'm waiting on a response here from the chat. Not my birthday. Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday whenever your birthday is, Yogurt Garrel. Yeah. Mine is gonna be a little over a week. Good. I'm gonna have my birthday in the field this year. First ever birthday in the field. It's gonna be good. Anywho, back to our leatherbacks.
Some of them to track their movements across not just the Pacific, but look in finer detail to help inform our fisheries about where these animals might be relative to different environmental conditions and what kind of depths it might be diving to.
Huh. And they are incredibly deep divers. It's crazy. So the deepest dive that a scuba diver has ever done. Scuba diving world records. Deepest dive on an open circuit scuba tank was at 332 meters, 1,090 feet. The descent only took 15 minutes, while the ascent lasted 13 hours, 35 minutes. The person who dove, Ahmed, was helped by a 30-strong support team, including 9 divers, as well as technicians, medical staff, and media representatives. So here's a video of that right here. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. You can do it, YouTube. There we go. Yeah. 1,090 feet. So, as I understand it, leatherback turtles will routinely dive to 4,000 feet. A human diver would be crushed like a boysenberry pie being trod upon by an elephant. We'd just be... We would die if we tried to go that deep. It's like 4 times deeper than a human being can go. Yeah, astonishing. A turtle is able to do that. How wild is that, you know? It's like 4/5 of a mile underwater. Nuts. And they do this on the regular. Yeah.
We also sample them remotely with a camera that's attached with suction cups. And what this allows us to do is to look at the type of jellies that they're eating. Likewise, those camera devices will also carry a small time depth recorder so we can look at what depth they're actually taking these jellies.
And Dr. Irrefutable makes a really good point. Yes, your suspicions are correct. They don't have a hard shell as it wouldn't be as compressible. Exactly. So other kinds of sea turtle, you know, they would go down and they'd be going to crush depth, you know? That hard shell would just crack. But since leatherbacks have got this leathery shell, there we go. Their shell is, it's not a particularly good skeletal mount, but their shell is not a hard shell. You see it in mounts like this, and for whatever reason, I guess the people who designed this thought, well, we have to make it look like a turtle, right? So we have to like preserve the leather carapace, but this is a much better representation of what the animal looks like. Right here. It's just a rib cage. They do have like little tiny bony ossicles in there, so there's like little armor plates, but they all kind of like interlock. It's flexible. Yeah. So that's what allows them to dive to such tremendous depths like that. It's so cool.
One of the things we've learned about this population is that it's actually a meta-population. So some of the population is using foraging grounds over in the South China Sea, others in the North Pacific. Still others migrate off of Australia, New Zealand, as well as those that come all the way across the Pacific here to California. Yet they're all part of the same population, and so we have this incredible connectivity. But in the Pacific Ocean, leatherback turtles are in really dire straits. The population is declining at about 6% a year.
6% per year. So 6%, every year 6% of the population dies and is not replaced. They are suffering a steep decline right now. And this is one of the things that I wanted to ask Scott about when I met him in person. Like, I know this video came out a few years ago. This one is from 7 years ago. And I said, is there any upward trend? And he says, nope, it's the same. 6% every year. So if we continue at that rate, they will be extinct by the end of the century. They will be completely gone. We will have no more leatherback turtles in the Eastern Pacific. They'll be gone. That's why this is so urgent. We need to protect these animals now.
Really, to recover leatherback turtles, we have to be able to provide protection in these other foraging areas as well as what happens here in California. All these people around the Pacific Ocean have a role to play. If we do want to have leatherback turtles with us 40 years from now, it can be turned around, but everybody has to play their role in it to have recovery.
There you go. Leatherback turtles, extraordinary animals. And they go all the way back to the Cretaceous period. That's where this family, Dermochelyidae, first originated, as far as we know. So here we go. Today, the leatherback turtle is the only member of this family that's still around. So this grand lineage of turtles that stretch all the way back to the Cretaceous period, the leatherback, Dermochelys coriacea, modern leatherback, is the last member of this grand dynasty. And they are the only member of their family today, Dermochelyidae. There's the other sea turtles up there too. You can tell each one of these is endangered or threatened. They're all at risk of extinction. But the leatherback, in many ways, is kind of uniquely vulnerable to extinction, all because of human activities. Yeah. And Seawall says, is the Pacific warming helping or hindering the leatherback? It's harming them for sure. Yeah. It's not good. For one thing, it's skewing the sex ratios of their offspring. So the sex of their offspring, male or female, is determined by the temperature of the beach sand that the eggs are laid in. So warmer temperatures yield more females, cooler temperatures yield more males. And there are situations where most, if not all, of the baby leatherbacks are being born female because the sand is so hot because of global climate change. So global warming like that. It's an issue for sure. Global warming also raises sea levels, so the beaches that the females rely on to nest on, a lot of those beaches are disappearing. Water levels are rising. There's less and less beach. The eggs that they lay in these holes that they dig in the sand are more likely to be inundated by seawater. High tides are higher, and so that can swamp the nest and drown the eggs. Climate change is not great for these animals, as you would probably guess. Yeah. But yeah, Casey Snort says, gotta protect them before it's too late. Too often we wait until animals are almost gone to try and save them. Gotta drum up enthusiasm now? Absolutely, yes. So yeah, they really are incredible creatures. Here, let me play another video real quick. You might actually see this in the video. That license plate there, a variation on it. And then we'll get into yeah. Here we go. We watched this a while ago, but it's worth another watch. I need to get in contact with these people.
We know so little about leatherbacks, especially at the hatchling and juvenile sizes. So it's really incredible to get to work with them at those life stages that you would not see out in the wild.
So again, I'm gonna do a little bit of wish casting here and say, I don't know how likely it is, but I'm gonna contact these folks there in Boca Raton in Florida and see if I can get their blessing to do some live streams from this facility. Because this work, I am told, is ongoing. It would be really, really cool to be able to go there in person and show this to all of you. Get a first-hand peek, you know?
We've seen the populations of other sea turtles increase over time, especially due to different kinds of protections. But the leatherbacks especially are very mysterious and unknown. And you need to know about a species before you can help it.
Yep. I'm becoming part of the Turtle Club, Chicken Bacon Swiss. I hope I can be turtly enough, yes. Phoenix the Archaeologist says, are there other examples of animals where sex is influenced by forming the temperature of the... Absolutely, yeah. So crocs are like that. Modern crocodilians have what we call temperature-dependent sex determination. Yeah, and then there's other animals. You have all kinds of other things that will determine the sex of the embryo. Like in various fishes, you've got things that... A lot of critters have chromosomal sex determination. Like in humans, we have that typically. But in other groups of animals, you have lots of other different ways of determining the sex. And for a lot of different animals, we talked about this a few weeks ago, actually. For a lot of other animals, they actually change sex over their lifetime. So let's find that VOD where I talk all about this. There we go. Yeah. Paleontologizing. Holy cow. It is good to see everybody here. I know it is much earlier than we normally stream, and also we don't normally stream on Saturday. This is on a Saturday morning. Yeah. Anywho, I was talking about a whole bunch of interesting examples from nature where sex is not a binary, it's a spectrum. Whether it's the California sheephead fish, where all members of this species are born female, and only the the largest and oldest females transition to becoming male, and that's how they propagate the species, to things like California condors and Komodo dragons, where they actually exhibit parthenogenesis, where a female can essentially clone herself and give birth to young without the involvement of a male. Lots and lots of cool examples like that. So here's a link to that stream. This is a ton of fun. And this is on a Saturday, so I'm sure a lot of people missed it, but it was a good time. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. But asexual reproduction, exactly. Yeah, we've got that in critters like Komodo dragons, in I think other kinds of arachnids too, and in birds like condors. Really cool. Parthenogenesis is what it's called. Yeah. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Yeah. Oh, and very cool, Phil. Yes, yes, indeed. Florida is, in many ways, kind of the sea turtle capital of the United States. I think they have more species of sea turtle that nest on Florida beaches than any other state in the country. It's pretty cool. So let's get back to that here. There's Florida there.
Boca Raton is a classic Florida beach town, where residents and tourists enjoy leisurely days of
I don't think there's a lot of nesting on Hawaii chicken bacon
on the Sunshine
yeah.
State's
I'm not sure if there's any,
coast.
actually.
But beachgoers here often find themselves sharing the sand with some surprising neighbors.
Yeah, so this is this a Kemp's Ridley right here? There's a leatherback.
Sea turtles.
The leatherbacks, you really can't confuse them with any other sea turtle. They look so different because they don't have that hard shell. They've got these longitudinal ridges. They've got 7 of them that run down their carapace like this. The carapace is the upper shell, and their shell is a soft one. But yeah, they've got these really cool white spots that run along their bodies like this. They have this, it's called blushing, this kind of like pink coloration. Their skin is softer than that of other sea turtles too, all over. They don't actually have any scales, as far as I'm aware, as adults. The hatchlings have got tiny little scales that slough off, and then they've got this smooth, leathery skin throughout the rest of their lives.
Hello.
Hello.
The creature we will be examining is a paleontologist.
Thank you, Shark Geek, for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's great to have you here. You caught us, I think, at a great moment. We're talking about leatherback sea turtles right now because we've got a brand new genus and species of leatherback that's just been described the other day. We're going to take a look at that paper in a little bit, but I'm trying to give some background information on modern leatherbacks first. This is a lineage of organisms that goes back to the Cretaceous period. It was about 80 million years ago, we think, that leatherbacks split from the other sea turtles. So they've been doing their own unique thing since the Cretaceous for 80 million years. They are holdovers from the age of dinosaurs. They're incredibly cool animals. Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. And are you on sabbatical? No, Carol Beard, not sabbatical. It's the most absurd or silliest thing you've unearthed from a dig site. They've all been human artifacts. When I'm prospecting for fossils, sometimes in the topsoil, not on the rock, but in the topsoil, you find weird stuff when you're out prospecting. So I found all kinds of beer cans and bottles and stuff like that. But one time I found a trap from like an old fur trapper, probably from like the 1800s, which was still open. It never triggered. I had to be very careful not to stick my fingers in the business end of it. It was kind of rusted open. And then I also found one time a huge 50 caliber slug from probably a P-47 Thunderbolt fighter plane. So not the shell casing, but the actual metal bullet, the slug. And it was enormous and super heavy. Like that kind of munition's just crazy, you know? Apparently, during World War II, and thereabouts, there was a U.S. Army Air Corps base out there. This is before the Air Force was established in like 1947. It was still part of the Army, U.S. Army Air Corps. And apparently the P-47 Thunderbolt pilots would fly around, and they would sometimes use ranchers' cattle as target practice. That's what I was told by some very irate ranchers when I showed them this. They're like, oh yeah, we remember that. So anywho, that was pretty wild. Yeah. Back to leatherback turtles, though. Yeah.
Boca Raton, we have 5 miles of sandy beach, and we get 3 species of sea turtles: leatherback, loggerhead, and green nesting on our beaches. And some people even come here specifically to see sea turtles.
I'm hoping to do that
Once,
early next year.
The presence of sea turtles on beaches here and around the world was commonplace. Researchers estimate that in pre-colonial times, there were around 40 million in the nearby Caribbean alone.
Holy cow.
But since then, some species there have lost up to 97% of their historic populations.
Yeah, people suck sometimes, you know? Occasionally, Homo sapiens is just the worst.
Globally, others have seen similar declines.
And Shark Geek, I hope too that you can see a leatherback someday. They are incredible animals.
Florida turtles have been hard hit too.
There was a time in the past where some species of sea turtles were pretty much extinct in Florida. They were overharvested, overfished, and they were pretty much non-existent as far as nesting on our beaches.
2 of the 3 species nesting in Boca are listed as vulnerable, while 1 is endangered. But in the last quarter century, conservation efforts on Florida beaches have vastly improved the outlook for most of these embattled creatures. One of the most crucial steps has been protecting the turtles during their short but critical time on land.
How we're going to help the species recover is by protecting nests and protecting hatchlings so they can one day grow up and be adult turtles and come back to these nesting grounds.
Around Florida, teams like this one, led by David Anderson, follow the turtles' tracks to find and protect every nest.
So these are not tire tracks right here. This is a turtle track. So you can see along the midline right there, this is the tail that would be dragging along the ground. And then these divots right here are from those flippers as they're moving over the beach. It really looks like a tire track, right? But these are turtle tracks. Yeah.
And it's really important we get an early start every morning before people come out onto the beach. We mark every single nest with wooden stakes and orange flagging tape. So all of our nests, we're confident that the eggs were inside that perimeter.
Secure in these locations, the eggs can incubate, safe from human traffic. The team keeps an eye on the nests until the eggs
yeah, there you go, Sharky.
and then lends a hand.
I'm hoping to go there at some point soon.
Oh,
we'll see.
Live hatchling.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Across Florida, these efforts are making an impact. In 1985, the 3 sea turtle species made just under 27,000 nests in the state. Last year, that number was over 150,000.
All right.
As soon as the hatchlings hit the water, other protections focus on the coastal areas where many of them grow up.
Yeah, so this is not true for leatherbacks. They go out into the open ocean. But these, what we call littoral environments or near-shore environments like this is where your green sea turtles, and I think also your loggerheads, your ridleys, hawksbills, things like that, those sea turtle species kind of use this as a nursery ground, these near-shore environments, the mangroves, the estuaries, stuff like that. A lot of them are feeding on seagrasses, which thrive in areas like this.
This site here gives these little green turtles all they need, and that's the food they're looking for in these shallow waters, and then also places to hide at night and sleep.
Greens are the only vegetarian sea turtles, so the coastal seagrasses provide the perfect habitat.
So this turtle, we're going to give it a full assessment. This is the same assessment we do on every turtle we catch. These turtles will come in when they're small, and then they'll move off into deeper seagrass beds in the Keys or within the greater Caribbean.
Yeah. So once they get big, then they can go out into the open ocean, but this is their nursery, like I said, these near shore environments.
Follow a similar path. By keeping tabs on the turtles near shore, conservationists can help mitigate threats like boat strikes, loss of key habitat, and pollution.
So this is a thing, I know we have some, oh, Ms. Art Rules says be right back, but I was just going to say in San Diego, you've got green sea turtles right there in San Diego Harbor. It was actually something I was talking about with Scott. San Diego, they're currently planning a ton of development, building along that area. And these green sea turtles that need these near-shore habitats to grow up in, some people are worried about them in San Diego because they have them there. Let me see if I can find video of that. There we go. Check these guys out. These are green sea turtles. Colonia mitis is the genus and species name.
My name is Megan Hanna, and I am a marine biologist for the U.S. Navy. And in my off time, I run the La Jolla Green Sea Turtle Citizen Science Project.
In La Jolla.
The La Jolla Shores Green Sea Turtle Citizen Science Program is a public program that's supported by NOAA, which is right here in our backyard at La Jolla Shores. And they were interested in getting to know a little bit more about the green sea turtle population that has...
So that's what they eat, that seagrass there.
...began recruiting to La Jolla Shores. So currently, at the time, we have 4 resident sea turtles, potentially a new 5th that we are trying to keep track of right now. Historically, we've seen about 9 in the area. A few have been transient, and a few have left the area since. But we began seeing them in about 2015. But we've heard news from the community that they've been around since as early as 2012.
I first started seeing the turtles about 5 or 6 years ago. Came out with some friends, and we've heard stories about these mysterious turtles in La Jolla Shores, and that's when we first started seeing them in the area.
Petrodactylus says swimming alongside a turtle is 100% magical. Highly recommend. I got to paddleboard near some turtles. I got to see them poke their little heads up. But Lordy and Ios, when we were in Puerto Rico, actually got to snorkel with sea turtles. I didn't get to do any actual snorkeling because of this. With my facial hair, the, snorkeling mask wouldn't actually adhere to my face, and it would just flood with seawater, and I'd end up with a, lungs full of ocean. Which is disappointing, but I at least got to paddleboard alongside some of these turtles, and that was pretty incredible. Tried to keep my distance, these are protected species. You don't want to get too close. You let them come to you if they want to. Wasn't chasing them down or anything. But yeah.
Finding turtles in La Jolla Shores is pretty challenging, especially if you're by yourself. Usually you want to go with at least one other person, just because more eyes means you'll have more chance of seeing them. They can hide pretty well, and with our visibility conditions here, a lot of times the turtles like to hang out in the murky
That's so cool,
water
Petrodactylus, yeah.
I try and limit my time with them just because they have become more popular in the past couple of years, and trying to limit the amount of time you spend with them helps them be able to rest, be able to eat in peace, and also just coming up for air.
So the East Pacific green sea turtle population, which is what we believe that these turtles are traditionally born in nesting beaches off of mainland Mexico and places like Michoacan, or small islands that are just off the coast. And after about anywhere from 3 to 5 years in the neritic zone, they'll make their way into new foraging areas, which we believe La Jolla Shores is now a resident foraging area for them. Well, we were working very closely with some photographers, snorkelers, and divers in the area, and in efforts to make them a little bit more easy to talk about and recognize, we did give them some nicknames. We have Boot, Bond, Lady White Spot, who no longer has her white spot, and we have Taquito.
Taquito? That's great.
While enjoying the viewing experience with the green sea turtles in La Jolla, it is important to remember that they are an endangered species, and we want to do everything that we can to make sure that they don't feel threatened in any way. I think that the sea turtles in this area will hopefully stick around for several years.
They're so
to come,
small, too.
Until they reach the size of sexual maturity, which at that point they will probably return to their nesting beaches and might even come back in between seasons.
Very cool. Good stuff. Here is a link to that video right here. Yeah, it's Turtle Tuesday today ongoing. Yeah. Yeah. And, oh, an Ultrasaurus. Hello, hello, how are you doing? This is something I was talking with Scott Benson about. Where did I put that photo? There we go. So I was talking with Scott Benson about this when I went to go meet him. He's an expert on leatherback turtles. Last Thursday, I went down to Monterey and met him for coffee and just kind of picked his brain about how to get involved with leatherback turtle conservation. And I was asking him, is there any update on, is there a general consensus now on what we can call the metabolism of these huge marine turtles? And the term that he uses is mesothermy, which is interesting because his definition of that was way different from what we have in like dinosaur paleontology. But yeah, gigantothermy is the term that I guess most researchers use there. So it's this idea that the larger you are, the more kind of heat inertia you have. So there we go. Yeah. So this is not entirely pertinent, but anyway, a smaller creature will have more surface area per volume, and so it'll lose heat more quickly. A larger animal will be able to maintain its body heat more easily just because it's big. It's got more thermal inertia, it's got more volume, more mass compared to its surface area. So with leatherback turtles, that's part of what they're doing, is they are very large. This one is 1/3 size. So this would be the size of like a juvenile right here. The full-grown adults are enormous. 9 feet from flipper tip to flipper tip. They weigh more than a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. They're enormous creatures. So they've got that going for them. They maintain their body heat partly due to just their sheer size. But they also have a really interesting set of like, they're called like countercurrent heat exchangers in their bodies. So they'll actually, in actively swimming, their muscles firing will generate heat, and they can actually circulate that throughout their bodies in order to warm themselves to the point that they can exist in waters that would kill you and me, that's just too cold. We would die of hypothermia, and this turtle is able to swim around and thrive in those waters. They also have layers of subcutaneous fat, like this brown adipose tissue, kind of like the blubber that you see in marine mammals, and that helps them maintain their body temperature in cold water too. Given that these guys are, these guys and gals, I should say, given that they have extraordinary migrations, like going all the way across the Pacific Ocean, they're encountering lots and lots of different ocean temperatures. So here off Indonesia, these waters are warm to almost tropical. And when these guys are going up into like the South China Sea and that area, the water's really, really warm. They're actually at risk of overheating in waters that are that warm. And so what they'll do is they'll dive in order to keep themselves from overheating. They'll dive down into deeper waters that are cooler, they'll cool off there, and then they'll come back up to the surface. Off the Pacific coast of the US in Oregon, Washington, California, this is really cold water. You've got these currents that are coming down from the Arctic and bringing cold water over here. They're using their swimming behavior, their brown fat tissue, stuff like that to keep warm in this kind of environment here. So it's crazy. They run the gamut from warm tropical like bathtub water to water that's cold enough to kill you or me. And they can thrive in all of it. It's extraordinary, you know? So yeah. I'm actually hoping to get back to your question, Ultrasaurus, about gigantothermy. It's not super well understood in leatherback turtles, as I understand it, but I've got the name of a researcher who actually works on leatherback turtle metabolism, and I'm hoping to interview him at some point in the next few months. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. That should be really cool. We'll see if we can do a whole stream around leatherback turtle physiology. I think that would be really interesting. Yeah. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Yeah. And Michael T. Mayer says, since birds have good thermal control, and birds are dinosaurs, is it likely that some closely related archaic dinosaurs also had thermal regulation? Not just some. There's a broad consensus that's currently still forming, but we're getting there, that most, if not all, dinosaurs were warm-blooded. I know that comes as a surprise to a lot of people, but that might be a trait that the very first dinosaurs had, the ancestors of all the other dinosaurs back in the Triassic period, the very first dinosaurs that gave rise to the whole group, they may have been warm-blooded. And then you've got this whole diversity of dinosaurs that are descended from them. And most of these guys would have probably maintained, retained that endothermy, that warm-bloodedness. Warm-bloodedness is when an animal generates body heat from within, internally. So you're converting calories into heat. That's different from ectothermy. So here, this is so funny. Oh man, cold-blooded, temperature varies with the environment. So these are animals that they rely on the ambient temperature to warm up their blood, warm up their bodies. This is why you see lizards and snakes basking in the sun in order to get going at the beginning of the day. And warm-blooded mammals and birds. And this says leatherback sea turtle here. These guys aren't true endotherms. They're kind of in between. Because that's the thing, is that this is more of a spectrum than it is a binary. Like nearly everything in nature, it's a spectrum. Nature isn't fond of binaries. Whether we're talking about metabolism, whether we're talking about, male, female, whether we're, talking about sex determination, stuff like that. Nature really doesn't like binaries. It's just not the way it works, for the most part. So yeah, anyway. We've got multiple lines of evidence that most, if not all, dinosaurs were warm-blooded. There's some suggestions that certain dinosaurs like Thyreophorans, the armored dinosaurs, like stegosaurs and ankylosaurs, like I'll be digging up next week, they may have been more cold-blooded. But if they were, and it's a big if, there's a lot of dinosaur paleontologists who disagree and say, no, they're probably warm-blooded too. But if they are cold-blooded, that would be like a special weird thing that they evolved. So like that cold-bloodedness would be an extra thing that they developed over time when their ancestors were warm-blooded. So yeah. Is there a link to this image? You bet, Anakin Gabriel. Yeah, this is from Dave Evans' lab, right here. Love this image. That's why I bookmarked it. But yeah, I love that this shows the kind of diversity of dinosaurs, from tiny little extant theropods, like birds, to the giant sauropods, to thyreophorans and theropods and ceratopsids. Super cool. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, it is a gorgeous illustration. It really is, Petrodactylus. I love this. It's really good. Yeah. Anyhow. But yeah. Yeah. And sharks. So that's the thing, Pumpkin the Cat. Warm-blooded versus cold-blooded is not an actual binary in nature. It doesn't really actually work that way. It's more of a spectrum. From one side kind of, you know, from one pole kind of grading into another. And there's videos that we could watch about this here. Here, I'll maybe start one real quick. Yeah. Here.
You probably learned that there are two types of animals. Warm-blooded ones, which generate heat internally and therefore keep their bodies at a consistent temperature, and cold-blooded ones, which rely on the environment for heat and therefore have body temperatures that fluctuate. But that's basically wrong. I'm David, and this is Minute Earth. When you try to actually categorize animals by their temperature regulation strategies.
So this is what I always say. We as human beings love to try and take nature and force it into these neat little boxes that we have. And that's just not how nature works most of the time. Nature is far more complex and messy and fascinating than that. There's all kinds of really interesting in-betweens that kind of defy human categorization like this, you know?
They don't fit neatly into two buckets. Let's take a look at how animals generate their heat. Mammals like humans and bears and hedgehogs mostly generate their heat internally, putting them over here. But other mammals, like naked mole rats, have mostly lost that ability because they live in underground chambers with natural year-round climate control. So let's put them over here. And while many reptiles and invertebrates and fish have to get most of their heat from their surroundings, and thus go here, some, like honeybees and tuna, can also use their powerful muscles to generate heat internally. So they go closer to the...
And actually, leatherback turtles should be right here with tuna, really. They would be on this side of naked mole rats. So that's so funny that there's so much... This is what I was talking about, Ultrasource. There's so much, like, confusion about leatherback turtles that I cannot wait to actually interview a researcher who literally works on this. Like, this is his bread and butter. Oh, man, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
Middle. Honeybees can actually generate so much internal heat that they can collectively cook invading hornets. So how animals generate heat is way less of a split than a spectrum. But the ostensible purpose of being warm-blooded, that you'd keep your internal body temperature consistent, doesn't hold true either. Even though a bear generates its own body heat, when it hunkers down for the winter, its body temperature drops. So we need to add another dimension to really represent all the different temperature regulation strategies out there. And immediately you can see things get even more complicated. This
Ultrasaurus says, it's a really neat video. I wish the internal heat spectrum was taught more in our educational system. Me too. I wish good biology was taught more in our educational system. I wish things like evolution were taught in our educational system here in the U.S. It's usually not until you get to college. That's the thing, is that nature is messy and complicated, complex and fascinating, and I think all too often people don't realize that, you know, because it's not being taught in schools, and it's often not being portrayed properly in things like documentaries and stuff, you know. Ultrasaurus says, as a Canadian, that's wild. We can talk about this at TwitchCon, but holy cow. Here, like, it's a huge problem in the U.S. That biology is essentially not taught in American schools, especially as concerns like evolution. Here's a clip from a documentary about the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, which was a big court case in 2005, where creationists were trying to introduce religious creationism as an alternative to evolution in public school classrooms in Pennsylvania. big court battle. This is a documentary about that. And so just to set up this clip real quick, big court case, and then some paleontologists like Kevin Padian from here in Berkeley, California, where I live. They were brought on as witnesses. And Kevin Padian's job was basically to like take a few days to show the court, this is what we know about the history of life through the fossil record. This is the information that we have. You know, isn't this cool? And here.
Posed. The reporters in the courtroom, they were just amazed that we knew all this stuff. And how come they hadn't learned about this stuff before? And the reason is, it's not in textbooks because the creationists fight so hard to keep it out. That's been a big influence.
It's been a huge influence. Yeah, and I'd love to actually bring Kevin on for an interview at some point, too. I gave a talk last Tuesday at Berkeley. Kevin was in attendance there. He really enjoyed it. So I think he would be amenable to the idea of doing an interview on this channel. So I'm really excited about that. We'll have to ask Kevin to do that soon. It's gonna be good. Yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus says, not only is it not properly taught in some states, isn't it being actively suppressed? Yeah, Texas kind of leaps to mind. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Here's a link to this whole documentary if you'd like to watch this, if you're fascinated by this kind of thing like I am. This actually won a Pulitzer Prize for like science and education journalism, so check that out. Yeah, here we go. I'll just show you the beginning to give you a taste.
Pennsylvania. Like much of the United States, Dover has become a town divided.
I personally don't believe in Darwin's theory of evolution.
Saying that you don't believe in evolution is almost saying for us, well, we don't believe that the Civil War ever took place in the United States.
Yep. Dover is split between those who accept Charles Darwin's theory of evolution.
And it's not Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Chucky D lived a long time ago, you know? It's no longer, it's like saying, oh, you know, they don't accept Newton's physics. It's like, physics has advanced a long way since Isaac Newton. Biology has advanced a long way since Charles Darwin. Sure, he was instrumental in kind of getting things off the ground in the first place, but anywho, here I'm saying that this documentary is really good, and then I'm like nitpicking things like this, but well, yeah.
And those who reject it. And that rift between science and scripture nearly destroyed the community.
And it's not a rift between science and scripture, it's a rift between science and anti-science. There's plenty of, but there's nothing in, you know, scripture that negates the idea that living things change over time. It's people's particular interpretation of that. You know, it's like what they bring along with them that, anyway, yeah.
Signs of trouble first appeared after a Dover high school student painted a mural showing the evolution of humans from ape-like ancestors.
It was a lovely piece of artwork, very well done artistically, and it did not offend me in any way.
But some in Dover were offended by the idea that humans and apes are related. And that mural was removed from the classroom and destroyed.
Anyway.
Flames soon spread to the local school board. Angry that only Darwin's theory of evolution was being taught, the board required students hear about a controversial idea at odds with Darwin called intelligent design.
Which is just creationism. Anyway, I'll give you a link to this documentary. I just gave you a link, but I'll give you another one. Really, really good. Check that out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Bookmark that for later. You know, watch it while you're doing dishes or laundry or something like that. It's good stuff. Under normal circumstances, we would do a whole series of streams about that in late September, because that's the anniversary of when the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial took place. When it started, but I'm going to be in the field starting on, well, this weekend. So we won't have time for that, but that's okay. Yeah. And exactly, Casey Stewart, it's nuts, you know, like this idea that people are they're taking their religious beliefs and they're saying our religious beliefs, which are very important to us, are completely dependent on the rejection of a particular aspect of science. It's like saying, yes, we believe in this particular theology, and this theology, we're just going to decide that, hey, this requires us to reject the existence of penguins. Our God is the enemy of the idea of penguins, so penguins can't be real. And so if you try and tell us that penguins are real, we'll say, no, that goes against our religion. And you can show these people a penguin, and they'll go, why are you attacking my faith? It's like, why are you painting yourself into a corner like this? Penguins are real. You can go see them at the zoo. You can go see them in South Africa. You can see them in Antarctica. Why are you painting yourself into a corner like this? It's incredibly dumb. And yet people do it, you know? People say, well, our interpretation of our particular religious faith tells us that evolution can't be real. It's like, well, we know that it's real. It's an observable fact in the real world. Why are you doing this to yourself, you know? I don't get it. But anyway, yeah. Yeah. Anywho. Sweetie pie, we'll get back to leatherback turtles in a second, and to animal metabolism. We're like 6 rabbit holes deep right now, but that's how these things go. But first, we gotta pay my landlord here. Huh, sweetie pie? Yeah. What do you think about all this, huh? She's like, don't ask me. I just work here. Okay. You mean work here? You're my landlord. You're a member of the property owning class, huh? I'm gonna pay rent to you here. Huh. Alright, let's make that happen. Yeah. Ooh. Look at what we got. Hey, does that smell good? Yeah, it does. Look. Look at those. Look at those. Do you want those? If you just come here for attention, what do you think? She says, oh, well, if you insist. If you insist. Oh, look, there's more. There's more. Do you want them? Oh. Those lobster mac and cheese? No, I think they're like tuna flavored or something. I wouldn't want to eat them, but she seems to enjoy them. Oh, sweetie pie. Yeah. And there you go. Otter do it. I was taught the same thing as a child. It's
It was like you go to the shoe store and they're like, maybe we have it in the back, and it was like all the fossils back there. It was pretty sick.
Happiest Collie, thank you. Thank you very, very much for the 58 months of support. I really appreciate that. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Happiest Collie. Thanks for keeping me online for 58 months. Holy moly. That is a long time. Holy cow. Yeah. And yeah, Kindred Soul, it's a thing. Yeah. Yeah. And Ultra Source A, I appreciate you. Yeah, you go make some dinner, enjoy, and I'll see you again sometime. I'll be out in the field for the next 2 weeks. So if you feel like tuning in then, we'll be digging up some dinosaurs live. I can't wait to meet you in person at TwitchCon. Ultrasaurus and I are going to be chairing a panel together. There we go. Here is the official schedule for TwitchCon. And there we go. So I will be chairing a panel with Ultrasaurus and Casey Snowart and Cyant Streams all about innovating educational content on Twitch. How do you do educational stuff on this platform? How do you teach people complex ideas? We'll be talking about that, and I'm very excited. It's going to be really neat. Yeah. And also, I heard from Casey Snowart that a lot of these panels are going to be live streamed this year.
But those claws on the wings are once again invaluable.
And Lady Fiend, thank you for the 22 months right there.
Time has sure flown by.
It
Enjoy
has.
your time digging in my state in a few days.
Your state?
Your landlords
That's
a
right,
hello
Lady
from
Fiend.
me, please.
Will do. Thank you, Lady Fiend, for the 22 months. Thanks for keeping me here on the air. And I can't wait to get back to Utah. It's going to be good. Yeah. And ours should be live streamed? Fantastic. I cannot wait. So we'll be able to share this with the whole community, even people who can't make it in person. It's going to be great. Yeah. And there's the live TwitchCon link. Thank you, Casey Snowart. Well. Excellent. Cool stuff. That's awesome, Casey. Oh, man. Anywho, I'll give you a quick link to this animal metabolism video. Bookmark that for future reference if you'd like to. But we got to get back to our leatherback turtles here, because holy cow, we're gonna run out of time.
What is the answer? A prehistoric monster. Well, what do we make of these bones?
Fornath, hey.
Less than 3.
Thank you, Fornath, for the 5 months of support. I appreciate that. Thank you for the Prime there. I know it doesn't cost you much. You get one of those free every month, but it means a lot to me. Thank you for spending that Prime sub here. It makes a difference. And Kindred Soul, holy cow! Thank you for those 5 gift subs. Phenomenal, Kindred Soul. There are 5 lucky chatters who won't have to watch any ads for the next month. So the whole time that I'm in the field, they'll have no ads. That's brilliant. I appreciate that, Kindred Soul. Good stuff. Good stuff. Splendid. Here, before we get to this new fossil species of leatherback turtle that was just published a few days ago, first let's get some background on sea turtles and their conservation and that kind of thing. Let's continue with this video.
I am hopeful for this turtle, and I think the conservation efforts that we've put in place, I give this a really good chance for this animal to make it to maturity and have a successful life.
For greens and loggerheads, things are looking up.
But the leatherback,
Leatherbacks present some additional challenges.
because these guys don't hang out near the coast.
Leatherbacks are very...
So they travel across entire ocean basins, and thus they present a real challenge for conservation, because they're going out into international waters, you know? And a lot can happen in international waters, you know? Yeah, it's, yeah.
Homer, have we hit international waters yet? Because things are getting real ugly.
I can't sell you beer till we cross the line.
Legally, you could give us free beer. Ow!
Well, could you at least give us rubbing alcohol for our wounds? Hey. Sucker. Ow!
We made it, son. International waters. The land that law forgot.
Wow, you can do anything out here.
That's right. See that chip over there? They're rebroadcasting Major League Baseball with implied oral consent, not express written consent. Or so the legend goes.
Anyway, yeah. International waters. Leatherback turtles, that's where they spend the majority of their time, or at least a big portion of their lives. I don't know if it's the majority of their time. But yeah. Good point, Lenita. Don't drink rubbing alcohol, yes. Yeah. Not even in international waters. So leatherback turtles, in that they're crossing entire ocean basins, they're in international waters for a big portion of that time. And so the laws of any one nation are not necessarily protecting them. They're just out there, you know? Murph says, I wonder what nefarious things they get up to. These guys, they're eating sea jellies and salps and tunicates and things. That's about it.
Interesting animals. They're very mysterious because they spend most all of their lives out in the open ocean.
Yep.
We don't know as much about them as we do the other two species, which we see all the time off the coast and in the intercoastal waterway.
Yep.
It can be 20 to 30 years from the moment leatherbacks enter the surf as hatchlings until they return to land to lay eggs. Scientists have data about the adult leatherbacks' years at sea from satellite tags they put on them when they come ashore.
They're so
They've
cool.
learned that leatherbacks have the widest distribution of any reptile,
Yep.
migrating from the tropics almost to the poles. They can swim over 10,000 miles a year.
Crazy.
But they know
I bet most of you don't even swim 10,000 miles a year. Here's a turtle doing that, you know? Pretty cool, you know?
almost nothing about where these turtles go in the first few decades of their lives. Their so-called lost years. Scientists at Florida Atlantic University are trying to solve that mystery.
Casey says, you don't know. It's true, I don't. Yeah. Oh, Pumpkin the Cat hit almost 9,000 last year, so yeah. Yeah.
This is a very unique marine life.
So this is one of the people I need to reach out to, Jeanette Weineken. She is a huge name in leatherback turtle research and conservation. And, yeah, she's one of the people I'm going to be reaching out to.
Lab, we have the facilities to bring in hatchling sea turtles, raise them for days to weeks to even months. The reason why we
Check this out.
bring those animals in is to understand their early life. When the hatchlings come out, the hatchlings are about this big.
Yep.
We don't see it
They're
again
tiny.
till it's a 6 or 7 foot long turtle. That's a lot of biology that's going on between this and this.
It's a lot of, what do we call it, chat? A lot of ontogeny occurring there.
Ontogeny.
There you go, Salamander. Yes, indeed.
Ontogeny.
Yep. These turtles are doing a lot of ontogenizing in that time between when they hatch and when they return to the nesting beach. If they do. It's only the females that return to the nesting beaches. So, yeah.
Till it's a 6 or 7 foot long turtle. That's a lot of biology that's going on.
A lot of ontogeny.
Between this and this.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to know a lot about these animals.
This lab is the only one in the world that raises these little leatherbacks, and we've learned so much in the few years that I've worked with them.
In the tanks, researchers study their growth, behavior, and feeding habits. But raising these open ocean travelers has its challenges.
We've learned that they need to be on a tether type system in their tank.
Yep.
They're just constantly swimming anyway, so that would mimic them swimming in the open ocean.
And I made this joke last time, but, yeah, it is, it's TS for them.
Attention students, it's time once again to choose a gym class for the coming term, so let's all prove how adult we can be by filing to the gym in a calm and orderly manner. Even though it's first come, first serve, and the most popular sports fill up fast.
This gets uglier every year. Any sign of Bart and Milhouse? No, and if they don't get here soon, it'll be TS for them.
TS for them. Tethered swimming.
I don't feel right.
That's exactly what these turtles are
We've
doing.
learned that they need to be on a tether type system in their tank.
They're just constantly swimming anyway, so that would mimic them swimming in the open ocean.
Yep.
If these guys were off of their Velcro tethers, they'd be constantly running into the wall.
We've also learned what...
So they would be abrading themselves, they'd be getting cuts and scrapes and bruises and stuff like that. So this is actually how to keep them safe and keep them active and healthy and happy, is putting them on a tether like this. Normally they're way out in the middle of the open ocean. There's nothing to run into. They don't have an infinite-sized tank there in Florida. So this is what they do to keep these turtles happy and healthy. Yeah. Turtle chariots. I like that, Murph. Yeah. And Circules wants to know, can turtles breathe underwater? No. At least not sea turtles. There are some kinds, so they have to come up for air every few minutes to an hour, something like that. It depends. But there are certain kinds of freshwater turtles. I think it might be some kinds of trionychids, soft-shelled turtles, where they can kind of breathe underwater, and they either do that through their head, or they do it through their butt, through their cloaca. It's a real thing that some species of turtle do. They literally breathe through their butt underwater. See if I can find you a video about that. Here we go, from the Natural History Museum. For some turtles, surviving underwater means breathing not with their mouths, but with a surprising body part.
Many species of turtles breathe through their bum. This is also called cloacal respiration.
Cloacal respiration.
Turtles that are present in colder parts of the world, they need to hibernate and be inactive for long periods of time. They intake water through their cloacal orifice, and once it goes in there, you have different organs that actually exchange gas and intake the oxygen into the body. This is, of course, relatively very inefficient compared to how we normally respire, but it's a very nice backup system where they don't spend energy respiring. Turtles are also...
So if they can just sit there, chill out on the bottom, they're not really, like, moving around. Their metabolism, they're able to, like, bring it down to a very, very low level. And so they only need a little bit of oxygen, and they can get that through their butthole, through their cloaca.
Also ectotherms, or cold-blooded animals. So you can imagine in the winter, they would be as cold as the water that they are in. Their metabolism slows down in the winter, so they'll eat very little, and also they breathe very, very slowly.
Yep. And so they're not really exhaling. Like, they're pretty much only taking in oxygen, as I understand it, through their butt. So it's not really like a farting thing. It is kind of like gill respiration, Lenina. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty neat.
Well, that gives a whole new meaning to take a deep breath.
Yeah. And here's a link to that video right here. Again, this is not in sea turtles. This is in a lot of species of freshwater turtle. So if we're going to go back to our tree of life here, here's our sea turtles, which are all part of this clade right here, Calanoidea. That's how you say it. And so the turtles that do this are other species of freshwater turtle over here. They're not part of the sea turtle clade. Yeah. Calanoidea are the sea turtles. So they all shared a common ancestor, probably like 90 million years ago, something like that. Yeah. Anyhow, sea turtles, really cool group. Really, really cool group. They do not breathe through their cloaca. They can't. These guys are far more active. They're using a lot more energy. They're requiring a lot more oxygen than, like, a pond turtle who's just chilling out at the bottom of a pond for 6 hours or whatever, not moving. These guys, sea turtles, are moving more or less constantly, especially leatherbacks. They're spending, like, 95 to 99% of their day actively swimming. So they're very, very active animals, leatherbacks. Which, again, is why the young... these little juveniles have to be tethered when they're in captivity like this.
Them swimming in the open ocean. If these guys were off of their Velcro tethers, they'd be constantly running into the wall.
Yep.
We've also...
And they sleep 1% of the day. I'm not totally sure, actually, on their sleeping behavior. That would be an excellent question if we were to go here and do a stream from here. I think adult leatherbacks are pretty poorly understood. If we know about the sleeping habits of any growth stage, it's going to be hatchlings, because here at this facility, they have them there 24/7 under observation. So yeah.
Learned what their dietary needs are and different recipes that fit those dietary needs.
And there you go, Murph. Exactly. Yeah.
Their natural diet is...
And Pointy Zero says, why do they swim so much? Where are they going? Well, with some of these guys, they're swimming across the entire Pacific Ocean. So like 10,000 miles in a year. It's incredible. They're just constantly on the move.
Jellyfish. So here in the lab, we do try to replicate that. When feeding them, we do undulate the food like a jellyfish. So that movement, they can detect and...
And Zeb Anouk, hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Thanks for clicking that follow button.
See in the wild as well.
So he's coming for the peas.
Their taste for jellyfish may leave leatherbacks vulnerable at sea.
Yeah.
One threat that leatherbacks face is plastic pollution, especially things like plastic bags that
Thank you,
look like
Zeb. Hey,
jellyfish in the
I
water.
appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome.
Leatherbacks also fall prey to long lines and abandoned fishing gear that can entangle and drown them.
Yep.
That's why it's so important to understand where they...
So actually, speaking of that abandoned fishing gear like that can entangle them, there's another video from the Canadian Sea Turtle Network. It's an old video, but they put out a video to actually teach fishers how to disentangle these animals. There we go.
If the proper steps are taken to clear leatherbacks of gear, we expect that many of them will recover from entanglements.
If a turtle isn't completely cleared of gear, its movements are likely to be impaired, as is its feeding ability. It is also at serious risk of infection. Any of these situations can result in a slow and painful death. Turtles released with some lines still attached are also more vulnerable to becoming entangled again.
Yep.
In order to safely disentangle turtles, you'll need to know a few important things.
Despite their strength and size, leatherbacks are gentle animals. An entangled leatherback is not likely to bite you. However...
But yeah, those big flippers like we were talking about earlier with the mute swans, you know, getting hit by a swan with its wing might break a bone or something if it hits you the wrong way. A leatherback turtle, they could knock you out if you're not careful. And they're just trying to swim. They're just trying to get away. They're not trying to hurt you.
It will flap its flippers around and appear aggressive when you are disentangling it. Leatherbacks behave this way when they are frightened and trying to escape. Make sure you keep yourself clear of the turtle's flailing flippers. Bring the turtle alongside the boat, but don't attempt to subdue it. Instead, pull the rope taut so that the leatherback's movements on the line are restricted. Then, let the turtle flap around until it settles down, which it will after it tires itself out a bit. This will make it easier for you to work with the turtle.
It's easy for us to look for flipper tags when we're working with leatherbacks aboard a boat. It isn't easy to see tags when turtles are swimming free. However, an entangled turtle gives you a chance to look for flipper tags. After the turtle has calmed down, lift its bottom end up in the water by grasping the point at the back of the shell.
Yep.
Next, check.
So that point right there is right here. So this is a female leatherback. It's got a short tail. In fact, you can just see the tip of the tail right here. But yeah, this point on you can grab this and lift them up by that.
The inside edges of the rear flippers for metal tags.
Sometimes you'll find the tag.
So again, that'll be right here. Inside edges of the rear flippers. This is where you affix a tag because you don't want to put it up on those flippers. That's the propulsive end of the animal. They're moving around a lot. If you're going to impair the animal by putting a tag on it somewhere, it's going to be there. You don't want to put a tag there. You put it here. The rear flippers they use kind of like as stabilizers or rudders or ailerons, hydrolons. They're in the water. Anyway, they're not actively propelling themselves with these. These are for steering, for controlling pitch and yaw and all that stuff. Yeah.
Tags close to the tail, sometimes further along the flipper. If you do find a tag, please carefully record the information on both
dive
sides.
planes. There you go, Claire. Yeah,
There
like on a
should be
submarine.
A series of numbers on one side and an address on the other. Then, call us on our toll-free phone line. We will be sure to share all of the information we learn about the turtle with you.
Anyway, this is the Canadian Sea Turtle Network. I'll give you a link to their page, and I'm also going to be reaching out to them and seeing about maybe doing some live streams or something like that. Yeah. Up there in Halifax, I think leatherback turtles are the only turtles they're getting. These guys can survive, like I said, in very cold waters, like you have up there in Canada. Yeah. It's cool stuff. Anyway, let's get back to this video.
Drown them. That's why it's so important to understand where they spend their early years. To find out, Jeanette's lab is working on a pioneering tracking program.
And there's George Schillinger. I just had a phone meeting with him a few weeks ago. He's from Upwell Turtles. That's the team that actually allows Scott Benson and crew to be able to go out there and tag turtles nowadays. Upwell is a wonderful organization, and I might be doing some streams with them too. We'll see.
Program with the nonprofit Upwell, which focuses on turtle conservation at sea.
They've got the ability to help us with the satellite tracking of where our little turtles go.
This is the first ever tracking project for such small, young leatherbacks.
Yeah. Oh, it's red. It's blinking.
Raising the turtles in the lab for 2 to 3 months allows them to grow big enough to carry the trackers.
That was the beat. Yeah, I heard the beat. Okay.
Jeanette and Emily help activate a satellite device.
All right, they're taking this turtle out.
And return this little turtle back to the wild. As the youngsters swim off, the tags will send back data on their location, depth, and direction for about a month.
Nice.
Once you know where they're going, then we can share that with the regulatory agencies that protect those habitats. We're starting to learn what route the turtles are going to take and what they're going to encounter along those long migrations. And each year we get a little more information about where these little turtles go.
So far, they've tracked the turtles riding the Gulf Stream along the coast, then heading out to sea.
Are the little ones faster than the adults? Certainly not, Claire. No, the adult leatherback turtles are they are the fastest non-avian reptile alive. They can swim like 4 times faster than Michael Phelps. Your tiny little baby leatherbacks are just going along very, very slowly because they're so small, you know? Yeah.
As the success on land already shows, the more we learn, the greater the potential to keep these amazing animals safe. Even
and they are almost plankton, Claire. They do a lot of drifting. Yeah. Oh,
I'm
look at
hopeful
them,
for the
baby
future of
leatherbacks.
sea turtles. I think there's enough people that are passionate about them that are putting in efforts to protect them and increase their numbers.
Excited to be one of those people. And I hope you'll join me in those streams coming up about leatherback turtles and their conservation. It's going to be good. Here's a link to that video right here. Excellent stuff. Yeah. And are the trackers able to be safely eaten? I'm sure it depends on what the critter is, Salamandius. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If it is something like a shark, like Claire says, sharks eat whatever. Yeah. Remember that scene from Jaws where they pull a license plate out of the tiger shark? That's based on real stuff. Like, tiger sharks in particular will ingest all kinds of garbage like that, and it, doesn't seem to really hurt them. Yeah. There you go, Lenina, yeah. Anywho, that's a lot of background information on leatherback turtles. Let's talk about this. We've got a brand new genus and species of leatherback turtle from the fossil record, from the lower Oligocene of North America. It's from Alabama, I think. Really cool stuff. So this just came out a few days ago, and we're going to take a look at it. It is an open access paper. But first, let me show you where in time we're talking about here. So the Oligocene is this epoch right here in the Age of Mammals, the Oligocene. So, just to give you a sense of perspective, Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Go all the way down here to get to the formation of the Earth. 4.54 billion, give or take. This is comparatively very recent, the Oligocene. So dinosaurs, except for a handful of birds, go extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period here, 66 million years ago. And then you get the Paleocene, Eocene, and then the Oligocene. So this is about halfway through the Age of Mammals so far, the Oligocene. The lower Oligocene in particular. So I think this is the Rupelian stage right here. That's when this new species of leatherback turtle is from. So leatherbacks first evolve, I think about 80 million years ago, in like the upper Cretaceous. This group of sea turtles, the Dermochelyidae, the leatherback family, first evolves here in the upper Cretaceous. And we've got fossils of them from various parts of the Cenozoic, from the Paleogene and Neogene periods. This new one is from the Oligocene right here. So the Oligocene is an interesting time in Earth history. So from the UCMP website, yeah, so important changes happened during the Oligocene. The appearance of the first elephants with trunks, early horses, appearances of many grasses. You have grasslands that start to really take off during the Oligocene. They didn't exist before then. There's a major cooling trend prevalent throughout the Oligocene. Yeah, on land, mammals such as horses, deer, camels, elephants, dogs, and primates begin to dominate, except in Australia. Lots of cool stuff going on during the Oligocene. Yeah, lots of big mammals doing their thing. We've got stuff like entelodonts, which is that big guy on the left there. Yeah, the Oligocene. So this is a period of global cooling. This is about what the continents looked like at the time. Sea levels were higher than they are today. But you've got major ice going on down in the Antarctic. There was no ice like this during the Eocene, as I understand it. You had a global hothouse climate. This is kind of a transition from a greenhouse planet to an icehouse planet. So you've got ice that's forming, you've got forests are being thinned out, grasslands are spreading, the climate is becoming cooler and drier throughout the world. That's what's going on in the Oligocene. And we've got a brand new leatherback turtle genus and species from this time. There is no press for this so far, or at least, here, let me do a quick double check, just to make sure that... do we have any press? No, we do! Okay, nice. Okay, beautiful. Family fishing trip uncovers rare 32 million year old turtle fossil in Alabama. Mobile, Alabama. A family fishing trip in South Alabama led to the discovery of a 32 million year old leatherback sea turtle fossil, marking a significant find in the paleontological world. The fossil, unearthed by the Coleman family, for whom it's named, Colemanorum, we'll talk about that, represents a new genus and species, Eualoca colmanorum, and is one of the most complete fossils of its kind ever found. Adam Coleman, his wife Adrienne, and their children Tala and Corey stumbled upon the fossil embedded in a limestone boulder during a fishing trip in 2021. "I'd never seen anything like it," Adrienne Coleman said. The family kept the discovery a secret until Adam read about Dr. Andrew Gentry, a paleontologist in South Alabama, and reached out for help. "When I saw the fossil for the first time, it was hard to believe what I was seeing," Gentry said. "The fossil's intact shell, made of ossicles, is exceptionally rare due to the typical decay process of leatherback turtles. So yeah, when these animals die and decompose, they tend to just completely fall apart. Leatherback turtles don't have that bony carapace and plastron, that hard shell like you have in other turtles. Their skeleton is, well, looks like this. It's a rib cage, like that. That is their carapace up there. There's no, like, hard shell. So you can tell that when these guys die, they just fall apart. So yeah. The fossil's intact shell, made of ossicles, these are tiny little bones, is exceptionally rare due to the typical decay process of leatherback turtles. Gentry collaborated with Yoon Ebersol from McWane Science Center and other researchers to recover and study the fossil. The team determined the fossil dated back to the early Oligocene epoch as one of the most intact leatherback turtle shells known in the Western Hemisphere. Very exciting. The new species was named in collaboration with the Porch Creek Indians, incorporating the Muskogee language. This is the first fossil to carry a Muskogee name, and it's exciting to see our language recognized in this way, said Samantha Martin, a Creek language coordinator for the Porch Creek Indians. The fossil is now on display at the McWane Science Center in Birmingham, Alabama. This is a truly one-in-a-million fossil, Ebersol said, highlighting Alabama's growing reputation as a hotspot for fossil discovery. The discovery of Eualoca colmanorum not only enriches the fossil record, but also aids scientists in understanding the evolution of leatherback sea turtles. Gentry emphasized the collaborative nature of the project, stating, "It never ceased to amaze me how quickly paleontology can turn a group of complete strangers, each with their unique perspectives, into a cohesive team." Very cool stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. And this person here, again, this is unfortunately very, very common in the United States. We have a science denier here. Yeah. And this person, I think, is saying this sarcastically, but it's hard to tell. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. How are you doing, Mini Pie? You come to join us? Yeah. You cleaning up your mess from earlier? You got little crumbs everywhere, Mini Pie. And yeah, I think that second one is sarcasm, Casey Snowart. But this other person... Yeah, anyway. Get all those pieces, huh? Yeah, you get that. You get that. Oh. Yeah. You having a good day? Come to see me again? Yeah. Do you want some more treats? You got more crumbs here. Look at that. You should eat that one. No? You're not gonna eat that? Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at the paper here. Oh, but we also have another press piece. Very cool. Geology grad student helps describe ancient sea turtle fossil. Beautiful illustration here. And this is not a modern leatherback. Check it out. It doesn't have those longitudinal ridges running down the carapace. Those 7 ridges like that. It doesn't have those here. This is more basal. More primitive, so to speak. when California State University Fullerton geology graduate student Emma Martinez learned about a fossilized shell of a 32-million-year-old leatherback discovered along the shore of the Alabama River. She jumped at the chance to help study the ancient marine animal. Martinez and Jim Parham. Jim Parham, I think, he's got some ties to Berkeley, I think. In fact, he might be one of the research associates. At the Museum of Paleontology here in the Bay Area. Yeah, Jim Parham right there. Yeah, Cal State Fullerton. Very cool. So we've got a local tie to this. Martinez and Jim Parham, professor of geological sciences, and her research advisor collaborated with Alabama paleontologist Andrew Gentry to describe this new genus and species of leatherback sea turtle. Having the opportunity to research this fossil sea turtle that once roamed the earth millions of years ago is an extraordinary experience, Martinez said. Parham said the new species, Eualoca, pronounced Weloja. Well. I stand corrected. Weloja is how you say it. Okay. Weloja. Ueloca. Weloja. Weloja culminorum is derived from the Muskoka Creek words Eul for water and Loja for turtle. The name honors the indigenous people of southern Alabama and recognizes the contributions of the Poach Creek Indian tribal members to the research project. To our knowledge, this is the first scientific name ever derived from the Muskoka language, making it both culturally significant and scientifically unique, said Jim Parham, who studies ancient marine turtles and their evolution. The turtle shell, roughly 4 feet long and 3 feet across, is one of the most complete fossils of its kind found anywhere in the world. I need to get in contact with Jim Parham. I know he's close to some of my friends and colleagues at Berkeley. So, yeah, that'd be really neat. I wonder if he'd be willing to do an interview. The research team study a new leatherback marine turtle from the lower Oligocene of North America and a phylogenetic nomenclature for Dermochelyidae. Dermochelyidae is the leatherback family, comprising Dermochelys and now Eulogia. It was published September 12th in the open access journal Paleodiversity. Parham and Martinez, her first published research, are co-authors of the publication. Gentry, Learning Campus at Gulf State Park Senior Education and Research Manager, is the first author and studies fossil turtles of Alabama. Nice. So there's Emma Martinez there, and it looks like she's holding one of the ossicles, one of these pieces of the leathery shell, measuring that with some calipers. Learning about their evolutionary history can help us appreciate how resilient they've been over millions of years, said Martinez, whose graduate thesis focuses on 16-million-year-old undescribed fossil leatherback turtle specimens from Orange County. Well. She'd be a good person to know, too. Excellent. So Jim Parham has had a fossil species named after him and contributed to a 2020 zoo study with Gentry of a new giant species of freshwater turtle found in Alabama. He and his students have studied fossil leatherbacks for many years, focusing on their rich fossil record in Orange County. That's Orange County, California, as far as I know. CSUF researchers said this latest discovery in Alabama helps fill a significant gap in the fossil record of leatherback sea turtles. Super exciting. And check this out. That is the shell right there. This is huge. Look at that. Look at that. This is bigger than a modern leatherback. Enormous. Very, very cool. I wonder if it would be possible to go see this and do a stream from there. It's super neat. By studying this well-preserved specimen, we can fill in missing information to better understand their morphological evolution and diversity through time, said Martinez. Plans to pursue a career in geospatial and environmental analysis. So Jim Parham noted that only one leatherback turtle species exists today, which is also the state marine reptile of California. It's true. Our state marine reptile in California is the leatherback turtle. I think it became such in 2015. Here we go. Yeah, Pacific leatherback sea turtle. So this was the bill, Assembly Bill number 1776. Approved by the governor September 26th. That's my birthday, 2012. Well, well, well. Very cool. Pretty neat. Pretty neat indeed. Here's a link to that, if you'd like proof. Good stuff. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, leatherback turtle is the state marine reptile of California and is endangered. The modern leatherback is the last survivor of a lineage of sea turtles at least 50 million years old. Their shells are unlike those of any other sea turtle and are made up of thousands of interlocking plates, Parham explained. Yeah. So it's not a hard shell like you see in all other modern sea turtles. In addition to being new to science, Parham added that studying the new specimen helped to confirm that fossil leatherbacks included two main lineages. Fascinating. One with ridged shells and one with smooth shells. So our modern leatherback has got these ridged shells like this. These 7 longitudinal ridges. This is a member of a group that doesn't have them. Martinez said her research experiences have helped her develop skills that will be useful in her future career. I've learned how to collect and analyze data, think critically about complex problems, and clearly communicate my findings, she said. These experiences are preparing me to work in environments where problem-solving, accuracy, and collaboration are essential. Very cool. So here is a link to that article there. Super cool, and I've got people I need to contact now. Very exciting. Yeah. Good stuff. And Mayor Space says, so it had scale armor like a pangolin? No, it's more like there's a loose framework underneath the skin that it gives it some degree of like rigidity or resilience, but it is still soft. So this is, again, this looks weird not to see the ridges here, but this is a smooth-shelled leatherback turtle here. Not a hard shell, but it's gonna have these tiny little ossicles, little bone circles essentially underneath the skin. It wouldn't necessarily protect the animal from predators, but it will give it some degree of resilience to water pressure. So this, presumably like modern leatherbacks, is gonna be a really deep diver. So modern leatherback turtles are diving down 4,000 feet deep, easy sometimes. And if they had a hard shell, it would crack like an egg due to the water pressure. So having a bunch of tiny little interlocking bony plates under the skin allows the whole thing to compress without cracking. It's kind of the key to these animals' success, is that leathery back, you know? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. So let's take a look at that paper. And thankfully, this is open access. There we go.
Access granted.
Excellent. I'll give you a link to that right here if you'd like to download this yourself and follow along at home. We'll take a look at this paper. A new leatherback marine turtle from the lower Oligocene of North America, and a phylogenetic, that's an evolutionary family tree, nomenclature, that's wording, well, names, for Dermochelyidae. So, trying to define this family based on this new fossil, this is exciting stuff. You know, this is a big deal. People are going to be citing this paper left and right anytime they're talking about Dermochelyids. Good stuff. And, yeah, Pumpkin the Cat, we've been lucky, especially lately. We've had a lot of open access papers, which has been really nice. Yeah. There we go. Let's take a look at the abstract right here, which is a short summary of the paper And then we'll take a look at some of those pretty figures, maybe look at the conclusions, that kind of thing. Yeah. So the modern leatherback turtle, Dermochelys coriacea, possesses a unique, flexible mosaic carapace adapted for deep diving. The evolutionary origins of this structure remain poorly understood because of the fragmentary nature of the fossil record. So, with fossils, oftentimes the remains that we find are really incomplete. Here we've got a really complete one, which is really helpful. Here we describe Eulogia? Is that how it was pronounced? Let's take a look at that again. I don't want to butcher it. Where was that? Eulogia. There we go. Here to describe it, Eulogia culminorum. New genus, new species. A novel ridgeless leatherback turtle from the lower Oligocene Glendon limestone of Alabama, USA. This specimen, MSC 49490, that's the specimen number there, represents one of the most complete fossil leatherback carapaces known and provides new insight into the Dermochelid diversity and shell evolution. We're trying to figure out where these critters came from and what early representatives of this clade look like. This is remarkably helpful. Super exciting. The carapace, the upper shell, is composed of parallel rows of enlarged ossicles, so little bone circles essentially, interspersed with smaller ossicles arranged in distinctive floriform patterns, so like a flower. Histological analysis, so that's cutting the bones open and looking at the growth patterns in there, reveals a cancellous core with an external cortex, but no basal cortex, a condition also observed in the modern leatherback. So interesting, like the interior structure of the bone is very similar to modern leatherback turtles. Phylogenetic analysis, so trying to figure out the family tree of this animal, places Eulogia within a clade of ridgeless leatherbacks, Euloginae, which diverged from the ridge-bearing Dermochelinae in the Eocene. So that's only slightly before our critter here. I guess I got rid of that. Nope, here it is. So they diverged back in the Eocene. Our new critters from the early Oligocene right here. Our revised phylogeny, so a new family tree, suggests that Euloginae and Dermochelinae, these two subfamilies within Dermochelidea, the leatherback family, represent the two main lineages of Dermochelinaes, both characterized by mosaic carapaces that undergo parallel morphological trends. So essentially what they're saying here is that you've got two different kinds of leatherback, two different lineages. You've got these guys with the ridges, we've got guys with a round shell, but each of them are evolving in parallel, and they're kind of undergoing similar evolutionary trends after they split. So after you have that split that occurs, you've got multiple species, they're kind of evolving in a similar direction after that split. Parallel morphological trends. These findings clarify the deep history of leatherback shell evolution and emphasize the need for additional well-preserved fossils to further refine Dermochelid systematics. So systematics is like how they're related to one another, what the family tree looks like. Very, very cool. Yeah. Pointy Zero says, are leatherbacks closely related to dinosaurs? No. Turtles in general are not particularly close to dinosaurs. Dinosaurs evolve right here. Everything descended from that is a dinosaur. Closer animals to dinosaurs would be pterosaurs, and after that, critters like crocs are closer. Turtles should actually be like here. This is now probably out of date. But anyway. Turtles are closer to dinosaurs than lizards are. Lizards are kind of nowhere close. But turtles are not as close to dinosaurs as crocs are. If that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Claire, for helping clarify that in the chat as well. Clarify. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Really cool paper. I'm going to read this cover to cover. I'll print this out and bring it out to the field with me. So there we go. From this county in Alabama, Monroe County. Any Alabamans in the chat right now? Because the stretch of exposure from which this specimen is derived is federally regulated, we follow regulations outlined in the U.S. Department of the Interior's DM 411 regulation regarding the confidentiality of site-specific information. So, if you want to know exactly where these fossils are from, you got to write to the authors, because legally they can't tell you, because this is federal protected land. Makes sense. They don't want fossil poaching going on here. But if you are a researcher involved with this kind of thing, you can get site information. You just have to email them. Available to qualified researchers upon request. There you go. Really cool stuff. So there we go. Glendon Limestone member of the Byram Formation in the Rupelian stage of the Oligocene. So we were talking about this earlier. The Oligocene, the Rupelian stage. There we go. Beautiful. Nice. Phylogenetic characters used in the present study and the corresponding characters from previous studies. Nice. Not very often do I see a table like this outside of the supplemental information in a paper. This is neat.
Fatality.
Thank you, Might Shiny, for the 24 months of support. I appreciate it, Might Shiny. Thank you. Thanks for keeping me online for the past 24 months. At tier 2, no less. It's a big deal. Thank you, Might Shiny. Appreciate that. And this is near a creek or something? I think it's like off the banks of a river, Claire. Yeah. Yeah. But they said it comes out of a big limestone block, so this is like solid rock there. Probably pretty resistant to erosion. I don't know how hard the limestone is, but yeah. Very cool. And there we go. There's some of those ossicles there, arranged in this floriform pattern. It is like a flower. Floriform or sunflower ossicle patterns, and fossil and extant dermiochelids. So here it is in a modern leatherback. Right there. Really neat. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. So this is where other members of this family have been discovered all over the world. Dermocheliidae has got really wide distribution. So we've got some from North America, South America, Europe, New Zealand. Yeah, where's the Californiensis one? We've got some from California too. Really neat. And so, yeah, here they're kind of using this new critter, Wheelogia, to help kind of refine the classification of fossil leatherbacks that have been discovered in prior years, going all the way back to the 1860s. 1880s, sorry. Yeah. So this is cool. Really, really useful paper. I'm going to be reading this thing cover to cover in the field. And look at this shell that they have here. So there's a little bit of distortion going on. There's a little bit of like, it's a little bit squashed, but it's still intact. It's still largely in one piece like this. This is incredible. And there's all those little ossicles like that. It's super neat. It's actually more bony than I would expect. Very cool. And that is a lot of shell, Clever, absolutely. Oh, this is nice. Ah, yeah. Very cool. Lovely. So here's our critter, and here's a bunch of other leatherback genera species. This one's named after Terry Pratchett, by the way. Zela Schiffargus Terry Pratchetti. This used to be Cicephorus Terry Pratchetti, I think, and it's since been renamed into a different genus. It's from New Zealand. But yeah. And were those histo slides? I think they were. Did I just cruise past those? Yeah. So we do have some histology here. So they actually cut into these bones, and they're looking at the growth patterns inside the bone, kind of like looking for tree rings in a tree stump. So yeah, cool stuff. And so the pattern that they're seeing here is pretty similar to modern leatherbacks. It tells us these critters probably had a fairly similar metabolism, lifestyle. They're probably also eating jellies, that kind of thing. Good spot there, Claire. Yeah. An evolution of the leatherback shell. The mosaic shell of Dermochelys coriacea, the modern leatherback, is unique among turtles. It represents one of the more enigmatic anatomical features found within the group. The evolutionary history of this feature is obscured by the lack of described intact specimens and large temporal gaps between known taxa. Wheelogia colmanorum represents one of the most complete fossil leatherback turtles currently known from North America. The species not only helps fill a gap in the fossil record of leatherback turtles, but also provides insights into the evolution of the mosaic leatherback shell. Really neat. Cool stuff. Examination of the macromorphology, so the general body shape, and the osteohistology, looking at the interior structure of the bones, can give us an idea about growth. Of fossil and extant dermocheliids, leatherbacks, suggest the existence of at least 2 independent radiations of leatherback sea turtles during the Cenozoic, the Wheelogeni and the Dermocheliinae, that underwent parallel evolutionary trends that facilitated deep diving. Further dermocheliid studies incorporating more comprehensive character taxon matrices and the description of additional well-preserved fossil specimens, especially those with associated skulls or skeletal material, would undoubtedly provide further insights into the scenarios proposed here. Very cool stuff. Really exciting paper. Again, there is... Oh, Claire already provided the... Oh, JPEG link at least, yeah. There's a link to the paper. Super cool. Yeah. Exciting. And I really want to reach out to these authors and see about doing a collaboration at some point as we continue Operation Leatherback. Neat stuff. Very cool. Operation Leatherback will be continuing in the coming months. We'll be talking a lot about marine reptiles, I suspect, over the next few weeks when I'm out there in Utah. Because Josh Lively, he's a paleontologist I'll be joining out there. He's lead on this expedition. He studies marine reptiles. He studies fossil turtles, fossil freshwater turtles, but he might know a thing or two about leatherbacks. Be exciting to talk to him about that. We'll also be talking about mosasaurs and other marine reptiles too. I'm hoping that I get some interview time with Josh. It'd be really cool to be able to kind of shoot the breeze about, about marine reptiles. What a cool group of organisms. The marine reptiles. Yeah. Just extraordinary animals. It's gonna be really neat to talk to Josh about this. Oh, and who's that? The quintessential modern marine reptile. Dermachelys coriacea. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Anywho, that's I think a nice segue actually into our field work. Again, this is our last stream until at least Saturday, I think, when I'm going to be out there in the field with Josh Lively and co. Do we have Josh on screen for any part of this? Maybe not.
And yeah, mosasaurs, you have,
You're going to get to know this voice.
Quite a few different subfamily level clades. And we'll cover several of those in this talk. The one that I'm going to spend the majority of my talk on, especially the second half, is going to be the mosasaurine mosasaur.
Anyway, that's Josh there. Here's this talk about mosasaurs, if you'd like to take a look at that as kind of background before we get into the stuff that's next here. Here's Josh there.
Those collections, prep.
Here he is on screen there.
Opportunities or outreach opportunities interest you, please get in contact with me.
Yeah. Good stuff. Here's a link to this one too. Because why not? And we're not digging up mosasaurs pumpkin account. No, we're digging up ankylosaurs. So I will show you. Let's see, let's get rid of these tabs right here. And I think I have this in my downloads folder, perhaps. Yes, indeed. Well. Nope, not trying to download that. Well, okay. That'll work. This is the reason why I couldn't be out there in the field at this site for the previous 2 or 3 years, is because they were, well, the British Broadcasting Corporation signed a contract with Josh and his museum. There could be no other media on site, but now that it's aired, that's over. So we're going to be here excavating at this. These are mesh tarps. So these are not actually Dawn's tarps right here. I think these belong to Josh's museum. Dawn doesn't really like the mesh tarps. At first I was like, are these... Did they take the white tarps and just like turn on the sepia tone filter to make them look tan? But no, these are mesh. You can see how they're translucent. Yeah. But it is kind of funny, all the color grading that's going on here. It's not going to look quite like this when we're streaming because we don't do that kind of color grading. I think it's kind of funny just how much this film crew, but this whole documentary, how much effort they put into really making the fieldwork aspect of it seem really exotic, cool, romantic in a sense. You know, it's an adventure. And fieldwork is an adventure, absolutely. But they really wanted to make it picture perfect. They did a good job of it. It's just a little funny to see this having been there in person, and you'll see this unfiltered when we're out. I decided it might be a good idea to have some alerts in the field this year, but some like in-person manual alerts. We'll see if this works out. We'll see if we like it. But I decided to get a manual alert here, a Gastonia noise, since we're going to be digging up a bunch of Gastonia. Here it is right here. Hang on. So if we get a subscription or somebody cheers with bits or something like that, yeah, analog. There you go, Claire. I gotta put a Gastonia on here because this is not the correct animal. I mean, look at that. This no, we can do better than that. who we had briefly on the stream at Doling's Bowl. I think Marcello will be out with us again for this season, so that'll be cool too.
Well, you should be getting close, I think.
So one thing that I've heard is that this was kind of annoying being on this crew with the people filming, because they had to wear the same shirt every single day. It was something like 2 weeks of filming for just the amount of footage that they have right here. And is that Whitney? Yeah, there's Whitney Greaves right there, I think. She's our paleobotanist who was with us in Wyoming. I don't know if she gets much screen time here, but that's Whitney right there. I hope she joins us again, but I think she might be starting some of her PhD work over on PhD or master's work on the East Coast. So I don't know if she's going to be out with us. But anyway, for continuity's sake, everybody had to wear the same clothes every single day for like 2 weeks, something like that. And just they really concentrated so much, the film crew, on creating these big like landscape shots like this, these big pans and zooms, and really trying to showcase this landscape here. They're really playing up the remoteness, the adventure of fieldwork. I appreciate that. It feels slightly goofy, like, I don't know. We'll see how we feel about it after we've been there for 2 weeks, live streaming from there. See how you feel about it, chat. But they really are giving it the cinematic treatment, you know? No Country for Old Bones. No, Yes Country for Old Bones, Harry Match, yeah. Yeah. But you know, I know what you mean though. I still haven't read that novel, but I've heard good things. So this is the I think this is one of the same vehicles that I drove. And I did my stream from here with Jim last year. Let's find that real quick.
He's a young PhD.
Yeah.
He's been working on the dueling dinosaurs with Lindsay. Now got a real job at State.
Like it. Jim, do you want to tell us a little bit about this? What makes this so special?
We call it the Utah Raptor Mega Block.
Yeah.
For a short two-word explanation.
Ontogeny.
But yeah, it's we have interpreted this as being formed by quicksand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just a huge block, just chock full of bones of theropod dinosaurs or nithopods.
Velociraptor. And you can see here's some little strings of vertebrae. See that one across. And there's some skull material in here you can barely see. That's another individual.
So there's so many. What's yeah, really cool. So they feature that in the documentary. Pointy Zero says, "How often are new dinosaur species discovered?" You mean dinosaur species, right? About 1 every 10 days, which is not a little more complicated than that. We don't have good numbers on when they're discovered, because we don't normally note when they actually get discovered. What matters is the publication date, when they actually get published. And there's a new species of dinosaur, on average, over the past decade, published once every 10 days, or like 9.5 days. So it's almost 1 per week, which is pretty extraordinary. Again, I presented on this at the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting last year. Let me pull that up real quick. Let's review 2024. Poster. There we are. So yeah, here's a quick little like bar graph that I did, showing each of these years from 2015 until 2024. And 2024 wasn't even over at that point. These are the numbers of different dinosaur species or genera, new ones published each year. So 33, 32, 43, 40, 47 in 2019. That is a record, at least for this decade. We are currently on track to exceed this year. If the current trend in 2025 continues, we'll have more than 47 new dinosaurs this year. So we'll see. We had a brand new one just yesterday. Cariocecus from Portugal. So yeah, it's this is exciting, you know? And who knows, maybe we'll find a new species this field season, over the next 2 weeks. The Utah raptor from Lori's site is not actually going to be Utahraptor ostromesi. It's going to be a new species, if not a new genus, because it's a lot younger, more recent in time, a few million years after the type species of Utahraptor, if that makes sense. Let's continue. And Canyon Boy, it can take anywhere from a year to decades to get a new paper. This looks like an ornithopod track. You've got the heel right here, and you've got 1, 2, 3 toes. So this is going to be from an animal like Planocoxa, an iguanodont from this time. Oops. There we go. This is actually a critter that I'm going to be working on soon. It's an iguanodont, kind of like the one that we were talking about yesterday. It's kind of like Cariocecus, but earlier in time, our critter. Yeah.
These plant eaters or herbivores had as many as 2,000 teeth in their jaws at one time.
Fluffy Deinonychus, thank you for the 39 months of support. I really appreciate that. Thank you kindly. Good stuff. I'm hoping we find more dromaeosaur material, like your namesake, Fluffy Deinonychus, out there in the field, but we'll see. We shall see. Wow. Fast forward a little bit more. Back to the field segments again. There we go. And Pointy Zero says, what did two-legged dinosaurs use their arms for? It depends what kind of dinosaurs we're talking about. Some of them use their arms for really important things. Like, for instance, flying. Birds are modern dinosaurs, two-legged dinosaurs. Birds evolved from two-legged, feathered, meat-eating dinosaurs. And their arms have evolved into wings that allow them to fly. It's kind of what birds are known for nowadays, you know. That's an important thing. Other dinosaurs that walked on two legs, if we're talking about critters like, I don't know, Acrocanthosaurus, they've got fairly powerful arms, even if they're a little short. And they might actually have used these for grappling with prey. So for, like, holding their prey down, so they can grab it with their mouth and eat it. Yeah. Other dinosaurs like, dromaeosaurs. This is Utahraptor right here. They likely use their arms as wings like birds, but not to fly. Instead, to flap to stay upright on top of their prey as they stand on it, hold it down with their claws, and eat it while it's still alive, while it's struggling like that. See that here too. This is what modern birds of prey will use their wings for if they're tackling a prey item that's too heavy to fly away with. They'll flap in order to stay upright on top of their prey. It's called stability flapping. And then you've got other kinds of dinosaurs that use their arms for various things too. For things like catching fishes. Probably wasn't actually quite like this. It's a long story, but I've got a paper coming out about this. I'll be submitting on this hopefully pretty soon. And then some dinosaurs had very, very short forelimbs. This is Mononychus, very close relative of Triarchunkus, a dinosaur that I'm an author on. Extremely short, stubby arms with one big claw on each hand. And they likely used that prying open things like rotting logs.
One of these archaeologist fellas. Well, he's pretty near the mark. Actually, I'm a...
Something purple and their 11 raiders would also like to dig deeper.
Something purple, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's wonderful to have you here. How was your stream? I hope it was really good. Welcome, welcome. Something purple. Bay Area DJ. Well, well, well.
Maybe there's even dinosaurs.
There certainly are here. This is our last stream before we go back out to the field to dig up dinosaurs. From this weekend through the next 2 weeks after that. Barkley, thank you for the follow. Yeah. For anybody who's new, my name is Danny Anduza. I'm streaming to you live from the beautiful sunny San Francisco Bay Area. Although we're indoors right now. I'll be traveling to Utah later this week. And we'll be streaming live from the field from a dinosaur dig. The 2 weeks after that. Really excited. Here, if anybody's new, let me, Here, this is what we're all about here. Quick little channel trailer.
My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is Paleontologizing. Science isn't just test tubes and beakers and white lab coats. What we're doing out here is science, too. We're testing hypotheses by excavating these fossils.
Join me for museum tours, interviews with other paleontologists, audience Q&A, 3D printing. It's pretty big. Who thought this was a good idea? And of course, live dinosaur digs.
A limb bone from a new duck-billed dinosaur.
I invite you to tune in and experience the adventure of fossil science. So there you go. That's what we're all about here. Thank you, Something Purple, for the raid. You had an excellent stream. So anyway, we're just looking through a documentary that just came out this summer. Walking with Dinosaurs. We're going to be digging here at this very site later this week. So that's the reason why I couldn't be here at this site for the previous 2 seasons, 2 years, is that they had a contract with the British Broadcasting Corporation expressly forbidding any other media, cameras, anything like that from being on site. Now that this is finally aired, that's done. That's over. We can go there and stream. Actually, it's not painted yet, but I have a 3D print of one of these. Check this out right here. This is a Gastonia spike, or what we might call a splate. It's like a portmanteau of spike and plate.
Within minutes, they were finding fossils.
And Rafa Nakara, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. So while it might look pointy right here, it would be so much more pointy when the animal was alive, because this is just the bony core right here. Or this is rather a 3D print of the bony core. But yeah, in life it would have been covered by a keratinous sheath, so by a material kind of like our fingernails, or like the claws on a cat or the horn on a rhinoceros. Same material would have made this longer and sharper and stronger, really, really formidable defensive weapon. And that's what we're seeing right here too. 280. Apparently, I think they paid a lot of money for Carol Hutton to come out there and bring the microscope and everything. But everybody else, as I understand it, didn't really get paid for this. And they were actually pretty disappointed, I'll say. Upset, because apparently there was some financial support for various museums promised that never arrived. So I've heard from multiple people, not going to say who, but from multiple people that they weren't too happy with the BBC. They're never going to work with the British Broadcasting Corporation again because there were some some misrepresentations, maybe some promises broken. Anyway, if you would like to watch this, watch the whole thing on your own, which I would recommend. Here is a link. Depending on your region, you may or may not be able to watch this for free, but there's a link right there. Well, this was broadcast through the BBC in Europe and other places. PBS, Public Broadcasting Service here in the U.S., also had the rights to distribute here in the U.S. So yeah, good stuff. Anywho, yeah. And with that, I've got stuff I gotta take care of. I've got emails I've gotta send. I've got chores and errands and stuff to do. I gotta get ready to go back out there into the field. I'll be leaving on Thursday. Tomorrow, I've decided I will not be streaming. I gotta spend the whole day working on various things, getting ready for the field, packing up all my gear, my clothes, everything else, making sure that the car is all ready for the long journey out there to Utah. So yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be really good. I hope to see you all here in the chat. I'm out there in Utah, streaming live from the field from this site. It's gonna be really good. Can't wait for more field work. Holy cow. So yeah. With that said, it's time to wrap up this broadcast. What do you think, Mini Pie? She agrees. Yeah. So let's do that. We will begin our wrap-up procedure. Here's a Deinonychus skull to run our credits over. And let's find somebody to raid into real quick. Who else do we have live right now? Let's see. Oh, Lita is on Science Streams. Let's go right into Science Streams. Good stuff. Thank you to everybody who's being named in our credits right now. From new followers and raiders, to subscribers and resubscribers, cheerers and gifters, everybody who makes these streams possible through their financial contributions, everyone who donated via Ko-Fi today. I really appreciate you too. I wish it would show up in the credits, but we don't have that integration there. Thank you very much to Reaganation for that huge donation too. Really, really appreciate that, Reaganation. Makes my life easier. Appreciate you. And of course, thank you to our moderators who help keep this a safe and welcoming community for everybody and help keep me sane through all of your hard work in the chat. I appreciate you more than you know, mods. And yeah, looking forward to more fieldwork streams. Holy cow. With that said, we're gonna go right in to Science Streams. So